Chapter 2546. Dragon Slayer, are you shameless? You actually attacked a little girl. Just as Dragon Slayer was about to test the girl in white, Longao's voice suddenly sounded. The more Longao acted like this, the more Dragon Slayer asserted that the relationship between the girl in white and Longao was definitely not simple. Ha ha ha, Longao, you're such a coward that you don't dare to come out. I can only kill this girl first and see if you'll appear again. Dragon Slayer could not let the girl in white go. He could almost be sure that even if the girl in white was powerful and might even be a half-step Starry Sky ruler, her strength was above his. However, the unconscious girl in white was not dangerous to him at all. Just as Dragon Slayer was about to make a move, the terrifying Starry Sky crack appeared again. It devoured crazily. It roared crazily. Even if he was not afraid of the Starry Sky crack, Dragon Slayer still did not dare to fight it head-on. If he was accidentally swallowed by the Starry Sky crack, even he would die without a doubt. In the end, Dragon Slayer was still afraid of the Starry Sky crack. While Dragon Slayer was dodging the Starry Sky crack, Longao did not choose to give up the best opportunity. It appeared in an instant. Longao held Song Lin's hand and quickly left. He kept using time teleportation, and his speed almost soared to the extreme. Time teleportation? Looking at Longao, who had disappeared, Dragon Slayer was shocked because he did not expect Longao to be able to master time teleportation. However, Dragon Slayer was not worried at all. He was very confident in his speed. Even if it was not as fast as time teleportation, he believed that it was not far behind. If they were of the same level, no matter how fast Dragon Slayer was, he would not be able to catch up with Longao. Not to mention the same level, even if Dragon Slayer was an ultimate Starry Sky ruler, he would not be able to compete with Longao in terms of speed. However, Dragon Slayer was now a genuine half-step Starry Sky ruler. In addition, his physique was very special. In terms of speed, he was almost the same as Longao. It was almost impossible for Longao to completely get rid of Dragon Slayer. One in front and one behind. Both of their speeds soared to the extreme. Even their afterimages could not be seen. The entire plane was too big and boundless. Even with their speed, they could not reach the end. This was what shocked them the most. Under normal circumstances, with Longao and Dragon Slayer's strength and speed, they could travel the entire plane in less than a few seconds. But in the end, the two of them had been running wildly for several hours, but they still hadn't seen the edge of the plane. Whether it was Longao or Long2, they were both a little shocked. This plane was a little too big. In the process of the chase, the two of them released their primordial spirits at the same time to see if they could sense how big the plane was. Slayer, Slayer, Slayer. Neither a Starry Sky immortal nor a half-step Starry Sky ruler could truly sense how big this plane was. Song Lin allowed Longao to pull her along as they ran. She didn't make a move and just followed. Slayer, 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 Air, Slayer, 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 Air, what should he slayer? The more he thought about it, the more solemn Longao's expression became because Slayer, Slayer was too oppressive. In the blink of an eye, 3 days passed quietly. Longao and Slayer, Slayer were still chasing each other. For the two of them, not to mention 3 days, even 3,000 years would not be a problem. As time passed, Slayer, Slayer became more and more shocked. He originally thought that with his strength and speed, it would be easy to catch up with Longao. But in the end, he was shocked because Long2 never thought that with his strength and speed, he actually did not succeed in catching up to Longao. If this continued, even if he continued to chase like this, it would not have much meaning. He had to end the battle quickly. Under such circumstances, the longer he delayed, the more disadvantageous it would be for him. Thinking of this, Slayer Slayer's face became gloomier. Could it be that he had to use his main body? Unless it was a last resort, Long Slayer was unwilling to use his real body casually because dealing with a puny starry sky immortal was already a loss of face. If he used his real body now, it would be a huge loss of face. However, the situation was completely different now. If he did not use his main body, he might not be able to catch up with Longao even after millions of years, let alone a short time. Although he did not want to believe it, the truth was right in front of him, so he had no choice but to believe it. He was very helpless. Before coming here, he would never have thought that a mere starry sky immortal would force him to use his main body to catch up. Anyway, it had already happened, so he could not give up just like that. In an instant, a loud dragon roar resounded throughout the world. Slayer's figure disappeared. Immediately after, a purple-black dragon that was tens of thousands of feet long appeared in the void of the 9 heavens. At a glance, the purple-black dragon was like a huge mountain that covered the entire world. It was so huge that it covered the sky and the sun. Slayer had transformed into a human form before, but now he appeared in his main body. As everyone knew, the strength of a divine beast's main body was far above that of its transformation. In other words, Slayer's main body at this moment was even stronger. After revealing his main body, Slayer's strength was not only slightly stronger, but his speed was also 1/5 faster. If it were anyone else, 1/5 of his speed would not be a big deal. However, for Slayer, 1/5 of his speed meant something. One could imagine what would happen. Longao turned his head to look at the behemoth behind him and instantly understood what Long Slayer meant. As the ancestor of the Divine Dragon Clan, Long Slayer's transformation into his true form would definitely be able to increase his strength and speed, especially his speed. Under such circumstances, Long Slayer's speed would not be able to catch up to him. That was the only way. However, Longao did not expect Slayer's speed to increase by 1/5 after revealing his main body. He knew very well what this meant. If that was the case, his speed would not have any advantage compared to his opponent's strength. If that was the case, he would be caught up by Slayer sooner or later. He had to think of a way to deal with it in the shortest time possible. Otherwise, not only him, but even Song Lin would be in great trouble. Time teleportation had reached its limit. If he wanted to continue increasing his speed, it was far from enough to rely on his current strength unless he could increase his strength. However, it was easier said than done to break through from the starry sky immortal realm to the limit. Chapter 2547. The Dragon Slayer revealed his true form, and his speed increased by 20%. Initially, the two of them had been keeping a distance between them. What about now? As the Dragon Slayer's speed increased by 20%, the distance between him and Longao was getting closer. If this continued, the Dragon Slayer would be able to catch up to Longao in 10 minutes at most. What should I do? No matter how he thought about it, he could not think of a good idea. Do I have to enter the Chaos Hall alone? Without Song Lin, Longao was full of confidence. As long as he could enter the Chaos Hall, even if the Dragon Slayer was extremely powerful, he would not be in any danger to him. I can help you suppress the Dragon Slayer. Longao, who was running wildly, was shocked when he suddenly heard Song Lin's words. He could almost be sure that Song Lin had regained her consciousness. He was delighted. The Dragon Slayer's strength was incomparably powerful, but compared to Song Lin, they were not on the same level at all. The gap between the two of them was too big, and it was an insurmountable gap. As the ruler of the starry sky who had grasped the chaotic power, there was no need to mention her strength. Not to mention suppressing the Dragon Slayer, even killing the Dragon Slayer would be a matter of minutes. He could not figure it out. Song Lin, why don't you kill the Dragon Slayer? As long as the Dragon Slayer was completely destroyed, he would be completely free of worries. Otherwise, no one knew what would happen in the future. Song Lin smiled and said, I don't know when I'll wake up and when I'll become delirious. You won't be able to protect me with your strength alone. That's why I have to find you a slave to help you protect me. I see. Song Lin, if the Dragon Slayer breaks free from the seal. Longao did not finish his words, but the meaning in his words was very clear. How could Song Lin not understand what Longao meant? She smiled and said, "You overestimate the Dragon Slayer. Unless I die, the Dragon Slayer won't be able to break free from my seal." Longao did not have the slightest doubt. After all, Song Lin's strength was obvious. Longao nodded in agreement. Song Lin and Longao stopped at the same time. Long Slayer, who was chasing after them, was shocked when he saw the two of them suddenly stop. He transformed into his human form and stopped abruptly. Longao, what I said just now still stands. As long as you are willing to submit to me and hand over all your secrets, I will consider sparing your life. You? Longao smiled but said nothing. Until this moment, Long too still did not expect that his doomsday was about to arrive. At this moment, Song Lin, who had been silent all this while, took a step forward. Her face was filled with mockery as she said with disdain, "A little worm dares to be so impudent here. Reptile?" The Dragon Slayer was the ancestor of all the colossal dragons in the vast starry sky. His strength was valiant, but in Song Lin's mouth, he was just a worm. It was very funny, but Longao knew that Song Lin had such capital. Beneath the starry sky sovereign, all were ants. Had he regained his consciousness? Of course, the Dragon Slayer could sense how powerful the other party was, but under such circumstances, it was impossible for him to admit defeat. He laughed maniacally. His laughter was filled with endless mockery. Ha 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 ha. Longao did not say anything, and neither did Song Lin. Both of them just looked at the Dragon Slayer, who was laughing maniacally before them. Just like that. After laughing maniacally for a full minute, the Dragon Slayer gradually came to a stop. "Longao, since you don't know what's good for you, don't blame me for not going easy on you." The Dragon Slayer was clear in his heart. If Longao and the white-robed girl had the strength to deal with him, they would not have been in such a wretched state earlier on. In the Dragon Slayer's opinion, the reason why Longao was doing this was just to scare him. If he were to fall for it, he would truly be a fool. Longao did not say anything. After all, there was nothing he could do about what was about to happen next. However, he could already imagine the outcome. Given the difference in strength between the both of them, Song Lin would probably only need a single move to take care of the Dragon Slayer. Furthermore, he could already confirm that the Dragon Slayer did not devour the Chaos Stone Tablet at all. As for why he was in seclusion, that was something he did not know. "Why? You don't dare to strike?" The moment the Dragon Slayer took a step forward, his entire face was frosty. After all, Longao was just trying to provoke him. If he did not kill this man, where would he put his face? Before Longao and the white-robed girl could strike out, the Dragon Slayer could no longer wait. He bolted out with his speed raised to the max. It was clear that he wanted to kill both of them in a single move. If it were before, Longao would definitely turn around and run far away instead of going head-to-head with the Dragon Slayer. But right now, the situation was completely different. The Dragon Slayer's figure left and returned just as quickly. He came to a stop forcefully and looked at the white-robed girl before him with a face full of shock. It was as though he had just met with something inconceivable. His face was extremely terrible as he said, "Ruler of the stars. To think that you would be the ruler of the stars." There were a total of 12 rulers of the stars in the vast starry sky. He had seen almost all of them, but he had never seen such a ruler of the stars. It was precisely because of this that the Dragon Slayer could not figure out why there would be a 13th ruler of the stars in the vast starry sky. For so many years, the Dragon Slayer had been cultivating in seclusion, so he knew almost nothing about the vast starry sky. This time, he suddenly came out of seclusion because he had sensed that Longao was different. He had not heard about the matters of the vast starry sky from you booby yet. Otherwise, the Dragon Slayer would not have been so shocked. Although the Dragon Slayer was very confident in his own strength, he knew that it was impossible for him to contend with the ruler of the stars in front of him with his current strength. There was no doubt that he would die if he were to go head-to-head with the ruler of the stars in front of him. Retreat. After all, the Dragon Slayer was afraid in the end. He did not want to die here. As for Longao, there would be plenty of opportunities to kill Longao in the future. It would not be worth it to sacrifice himself for this matter. The Dragon Slayer did not continue to stay. He immediately turned around and left as fast as he could. But what was the result? Song Lin had already regained her senses. She looked at the Dragon Slayer, who had turned around and left quickly. She sneered and said coldly, "You want to leave?" Song Lin did not make a move. Instead, a white light was released from her body. It expanded a little and instantly expanded into a crystal coffin. In just a few seconds, the crystal coffin had already covered the sky as if it had covered the entire world. Under normal circumstances, the Dragon Slayer could leave smoothly in a matter of minutes given his speed. However, it was not that easy to leave now because there was a heaven-defying ruler of the stars in Song Lin blocking him. The Dragon Slayer was completely dumbfounded when he saw the crystal coffin covering him. He almost exhausted all his strength and shouted hysterically, "You can't kill me! You can't kill me!" Chapter 2548. He was indifferent. Of course, Longao hoped that Song Lin could suppress Long Tuesday. If that was the case, it would be too advantageous for him. Suppress? A cold voice came from Song Lin's mouth. Without giving Long Tu the slightest chance to speak, the majestic crystal coffin directly descended from the sky and fiercely suppressed Long Tuesday. What kind of concept was this? One had to know that Long Tu was a genuine half-step starry sky dominator, and his strength was superior to other half-step starry sky dominators. But in the end, such a powerful half-step starry sky dominator had no resistance in the face of the crystal coffin. Looking at Long Tu, who was suppressed by the crystal coffin in the distance, Longao was a little shocked. From this, one could imagine how powerful the crystal coffin was. In just a few seconds, Long Tu had been forcibly suppressed by the crystal coffin and did not even have the slightest strength to resist. The crystal coffin shrank and returned to Song Lin's right palm. He did not ask. Of course, Longao knew when he should ask and when he should not. If Song Lin wanted to tell him, even if he did not ask, he believed that Song Lin would tell him. If Song Lin did not want to tell him, then no matter how he asked, Song Lin would probably not tell him. Longao, wait for me. Before Longao could speak, Song Lin's figure had already disappeared on the spot and entered the crystal coffin. Longao shrugged helplessly because at this time, he knew that there was nothing he could do. He could only wait. However, things were already doomed. Longao could almost be sure that Long Tu had been forcibly suppressed by the crystal coffin, and it was probably impossible for him to escape. It was a little funny. If Long Tu knew that this would be the result, he would probably not come even if he was beaten to death. Not only did he fail to kill him, but he also buried himself. It was completely not worth the loss. However, there was no medicine for regret in this world. Time passed bit by bit. About 10 minutes later, Song Lin appeared in front of Longao with Long Tuesday. As for the crystal coffin, it was already gone. Without any concealment, the crystal coffin had probably entered Song Lin's dantian. Long Tu greets master. Now, Long Tu's attitude had taken a 180-degree turn. Was this still the insufferably arrogant Peak Dragon Clan ancestor? Is this still the powerful Dragon Slayer from before? Although Longao had already guessed that this would be the outcome, he was still a little dumbfounded when he saw Long Slayer's respectful attitude. Song Lin lived up to her name as the Starry Sky ruler. Moreover, she was a starry sky ruler who had mastered the power of primal chaos. Even the powerful dragon slayer had no way of resisting her. Yes? Longao looked at Song Lin, who was beside Long Tuesday. Although he did not say anything, his meaning was very clear. Song Lin only smiled indifferently. From now on, he is your slave. If something happens to me, you can't blame anyone else. He felt helpless. He felt even more depressed. Song Lin, you can lose your mind at any time. If you stay by my side, I can guarantee that even if I die, I won't let anything happen to you. However, the biggest problem is that you leave without a sound. Even I can't lock onto you. If something happens to you at this time, I'm afraid. Longao didn't finish his sentence, but the meaning in his words was very clear. Song Lin was not moved at all. Instead, she said indifferently, if I choose to leave, you don't have to care about me. Longao didn't continue to ask because he knew that even if he continued to ask, he believed that Song Lin wouldn't answer him. About half an hour later, Song Lin's face was blank and her eyes were empty. Longao already knew that Song Lin was delirious again at this moment. Until this moment, he still didn't know what was going on with Song Lin. Why would she become delirious all of a sudden and then regain her consciousness all of a sudden? It would be fine if it was someone else, but it was the Starry Sky ruler who had mastered the power of primal chaos. It was really a little unbelievable. He couldn't figure it out. Master, what should we do now? Longao sighed as he looked at Long Tu, who was respectful to him in front of him. Just an hour ago, Long Tu was still chasing after him. If it weren't for his strength and the transformation of spatial teleportation into temporal teleportation, he would have died. His greatest reliance was the chaotic nine-colored lotus. But now? The insufferably arrogant Long Tu had become his slave. As long as he wanted to, he could kill Long Tu anytime and anywhere. You're not convinced? Long Tu lifted his head, looked at Longao in front of him, and nodded truthfully. He had been forcibly suppressed, so there was almost no point in lying at this time. The winner is the king and the loser is the bandit. You don't have to complain. Long Slayer nodded again and said helplessly, if I knew this would be the outcome, I wouldn't have come no matter what. However, it's too late now. Since things have already come to this, I'll stay by your side obediently. Longao certainly knew what Long Tu meant. If it weren't for Song Lin, Long Tu definitely wouldn't have chosen to submit, because submitting to him was a great humiliation. At the end of the day, Long Tu was afraid of Song Lin and didn't submit to him. However, since things had already come to this, Longao wouldn't refuse. With Long Tu's help, he already had the capital to contend with the 9 great starry sky empires. Longao had always been worried about the safety of the empire. If he could let Long Tu oversee the empire, then he would have less to worry about. Longao was very grateful to Song Lin. Although he and Song Lin each took what they needed, he had the greater advantage at this time. It seemed like he still had to protect Song Lin well. It was mutually beneficial. Long Tu, although you have been forcibly suppressed by Song Lin, I believe that you are already aware of her strength. I can promise you now that the moment I become the ruler of Starry Sky, you will regain your freedom. Long Tu hadn't devoured the chaotic stone tablet anyway. If his family became a Starry Sky ruler while he was still alive, then even if Long Tu regained his freedom, he wouldn't be a threat to him. He didn't think much of it. If everyone could become a Starry Sky ruler, then the Starry Sky ruler wouldn't be worth much. A Starry Sky ruler wasn't a cabbage that could be bought at a roadside stall. Long Tu obviously didn't know that Longao had seized the 12-sided chaotic stone tablet. Otherwise, he wouldn't have thought this way. Upon seeing Long Tu's expression, Longao already knew what he was thinking. Without further ado, he summoned the attribute-less chaotic stone tablet from the chaotic hall and let it float in the air in front of him. Chapter 2549. Looking at the black stone tablet floating in front of Longao, Dragon Slayer was completely shocked. He was so shocked that he couldn't even speak. Because Dragon Slayer had already sensed that the black stone tablet floating in front of Longao was actually the legendary Chaos Stone Tablet. As everyone knew, there were 12 Chaos Stone Tablets in the vast starry sky. He had never heard of a 13th Chaos Stone Tablet. If he hadn't seen it with his own eyes, it would have been hard to believe. He didn't ask much. Dragon Slayer finally knew what Song Lin meant by what she said to him before. "You come with me." This time, he followed Song Lin into this mysterious plane. From the beginning to the end, even when Song Lin had regained her consciousness, he didn't ask why Song Lin came this time. However, Song Lin had already said that she had finished her business and could leave on her own. Longao's face was very solemn. If it was just him and Dragon Slayer, they could leave openly. But now the situation was very special. He had Song Lin by his side and couldn't step into the Chaos Hall. Once he went out and was discovered by others, especially the Starry Sky Dominator, he would be in big trouble. As for the remaining 9 half-step Starry Sky Dominators, Longao was no longer so afraid. Dragon Slayer's strength wasn't just for show. Even if Dragon Slayer couldn't fight against 9 or even 3, in a one-on-one or even one-on-2 situation, Longao believed that Dragon Slayer still had full confidence to win. What should he do? Looking at Longao's solemn face, Dragon Slayer asked, "Master, what's the matter?" Since knowing that Longao had the Chaos Stone Tablet, Dragon Slayer's attitude had completely changed because he knew very well what the Chaos Stone Tablet meant. Now that Dragon Slayer's situation was completely different, Longao didn't hide anything and roughly explained his helplessness in his heart. "I see." Of course, Dragon Slayer knew that the matter was troublesome. After all, Song Lin was still unconscious and couldn't fight against the Starry Sky Dominators outside, including the 9 half-step Starry Sky Dominators. "Master, how about this? Let me take Song Lin away and you choose to leave alone. What do you think?" Under such circumstances, it seemed that this was the only way. He shrugged helplessly. "That's the only way." Of course, Longao was not worried that Long Tu would have any ulterior motives, so he chose to split up and leave quickly. Longao successfully left the mysterious plane and met up with Dragon Slayer. 3 days later, a piece of news spread through the vast starry sky. It was that the white-clothed girl who had entered the mysterious plane had been following Longao all this time. What kind of concept was that? Longao? Longao again? Currently, the whereabouts of the soaring dragon empire were unknown. If he wanted to confirm whether the white-clothed girl was following Longao, he only needed to find Longao. However, in the vast starry sky, if Longao didn't take the initiative to appear, it wouldn't be easy to find traces of Longao. Longao was very depressed. Song Lin was still following him closely. Even if he wanted to go to the Martial Heaven continent, it was impossible. Previously, in the mysterious plane, the matter of him and Song Lin being together was seen by tens of thousands of people. It would be strange if it didn't spread. If the divine mathematician and the others chose to believe it, then he would be in big trouble. No matter what, he had already been seen by countless people when he stepped into the plane. What should he do? Longao didn't immediately return to the Soaring Dragon Empire, so Long Tu followed him closely. Longao had already thought about it. When he returned to the Empire, Long Tu would not leave the Empire. In this way, unless the divine mathematician descended, Long Tu wouldn't be afraid of anyone in the vast starry sky. This was Long Tu's strength. In the blink of an eye, 10 years passed quietly. During this period, many people were looking for Longao. As for the divine mathematician, he didn't believe it at all, because in his opinion, it was impossible for Longao to control the white-clothed girl. For 10 years, Song Lin had never left. She hadn't even regained her consciousness. Song Lin's situation was very special. Because no one knew when Song Lin would be conscious and when she would be unconscious, causing Longao to have a headache. Just 10 years later, Song Lin once again left without anyone noticing. Whether it was Longao or Long Tu, they were a little helpless because they couldn't sense Song Lin's trace with their strength. However, this time, Longao wasn't worried at all. Because even if Song Lin's consciousness hadn't recovered, no one could control her. Longao was still very confident about this. Master Song Lin has left. What should we do now? Even if Longao devoured the Chaos Stone Tablet, he might become a Starry Sky ruler in the future if nothing unexpected happened. However, compared to Song Lin, he was still worlds apart. No matter what, Song Lin was already a Starry Sky ruler who had mastered the chaotic force. Longao didn't care at all. After thinking for a while, he said, Long Tu, come with me to the first Starry Sky Empire. Long Tu didn't ask why, because he knew what Longao wanted to do. The entire vast Starry Sky knew about the grudge between Longao and the 9 great Starry Sky Empires. If it hadn't been for Longao's good luck, he would have been killed by the 9 half-step Starry Sky rulers. Before refining the Chaos Stone Tablet and becoming a Starry Sky ruler, Longao wouldn't have been a match for the 9 half-step Starry Sky rulers. However, the situation was completely different now. Longao had Long Tu's help. Even if he couldn't kill Bai Jing and the others, he could still deter them. Longao took Long Tu to the first plane. Their speed was very fast. In just a few dozen minutes, the two of them had already entered the first plane. Stepping into the first plane this time, Longao could be said to be a deterrent. As soon as the two of them arrived, they released the power of their respective primordial spirits and instantly covered the entire first plane. Bai Jing, Bai Hua, and the 3 Starry Sky Eagles appeared at the same time. When they saw the 2 people in front of them, the 5 of them had ugly expressions. However, they were more curious. They didn't know why Longao had suddenly stepped into the first plane. Was Longao really confident that he could resist the first Starry Sky Empire? Bai Hua sneered and said coldly, Longao, you really don't know what's good for you. You actually, waving his hand, before Bai Hua could finish his words, Bai Jing said coldly, Long Tu, when did you walk together with Longao? Do you want to become enemies with the first Starry Sky Empire? Bai Hua and the 3 Starry Sky Eagles didn't know Long Tu, but that didn't mean that Bai Jing didn't know him. Because of this, Bai Jing couldn't figure out how Longao had gotten together with Long Tuesday. If that was the case, things would be very troublesome. Chapter 2550. If it was Long Tu from before, Bai Jing would not have taken him seriously. However, the current situation was very special. Long Tu had already become a half-step Starry Sky ruler. In addition to Long Tu's physique, his strength was probably above Bai Jing's. Other than Long Tu, there was also the entire Peak Dragon race. Until now, Bai Jing still did not know what the relationship between Longao and Long Tu was. However, Bai Jing was not a fool. Since Long Tu came with Longao, they must have a close relationship. Long Tu smiled. He bowed respectfully to Longao and said, Master, you and Bai Jing don't need to talk nonsense. Let's start a massacre and destroy the number 1 Starry Sky Empire. Master? Long Tu called Longao his master? Hearing Long Tu's words, the 5 of them were completely shocked. They looked at Longao and Long Tu in disbelief. They did not know what had happened. Why would Long Tu call Longao his master? There was no need to explain Long Tu's identity. As the ancestor of the Peak Dragon race, Long Tu was also a half-step Starry Sky ruler. How could he submit to Longao? Was this true? They were not willing to believe it because the 5 of them knew very well what it meant if this was really the case. Bai Jing was not afraid of Longao at all. Longao's strength was not much, but he had a heaven-defying Starry Sky divine weapon. Even he could not lock onto Longao's position, which was the most depressing thing. However, Long Tu's situation was completely different. If Long Tu was really determined to deal with the number 1 Starry Sky Empire, then not to mention using the power of the Peak Dragon race, Long Tu alone would be the biggest problem. Long Tu, what do you mean by this? Ha 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 ha. Long Tu laughed wildly for a few minutes and said coldly, "Bai Jing, as the saying goes, a wise man submits to circumstances. If you want to go further in the future, choose to submit to Master." Submit to Longao? That was a complete joke. Bai Jing smiled but did not say anything. Bai Jing, even if I can't kill you with my strength, you should know what the outcome will be. Hearing this, Bai Jing's face darkened. Of course, he knew what the Dragon Slayer meant. If the Dragon Slayer insisted on taking action, it would be difficult for him to resist. Even if he could resist the Dragon Slayer's attack, it would be a devastating blow to the First Starry Sky Empire. Although the 9 great Starry Sky Empires fought openly and secretly, half-step cosmic sky rulers generally wouldn't interfere. In any case, the destructive power of a half-step Starry Sky ruler was just too great. At this moment, Sky Eagle smiled and said respectfully, "Senior Dragon Slayer, of course we know your strength. However, there is something called shamelessness in this world. If you insist on attacking, we have nothing to say. Even if we can't stop you from killing us, I believe that the Peak Dragon race can't stop Master's attack either. What do you think?" A threat. It was a blatant threat. Long Tu sneered and asked, "Are you threatening me?" "I don't dare." Although Long Tu had chosen to submit to Longao because of Tsang Lin's deterrence, he definitely didn't want anything to happen to his race. After all, he was the one who created the Peak Dragon race. However, Long Slayer naturally knew the seriousness of the matter. Although his strength was above Bai Jing's strength was still there. It was impossible for him to kill Bai Jing. If he couldn't kill her, no one in his race would be able to resist Bai Jing's sneak attack. "Bai Jing, you don't seem to be able to find the location of the Peak Dragon race. Is that so?" Bai Jing smiled and continued, "Longao, Long Tu, if you don't believe me, we can give it a try." Longao also didn't expect that there was a Peak Dragon race behind Long Tuesday. He felt a little helpless. No matter what, Long Tu was still one of them. Of course, he didn't want any accidents to happen to the Peak Dragon race. "Let's go, Long Tuesday." Longao didn't stay any longer. He turned around and left with Long Tuesday. In a short while, the two had disappeared without a trace. Looking at the two people gradually disappearing, Bai Hua said helplessly, "Old ancestor, what should we do now?" Of course, Bai Hua knew the seriousness of the matter now. The current Longao was no longer the same as before. Although they didn't know what had happened, the fact that Long Tu called Longao Master had become a fact. Even if they didn't want to believe it, the fact was that it was a fact that couldn't be changed. Bai Jing's face was very ugly. She said coldly, "I also didn't expect Longao to subdue Long Tuesday. If Longao gets the help of Long Tu and the entire Peak Dragon race, then we won't be a match for him at all." Others didn't know, but how could he not know? Any random Starry Sky Empire of the 9 great Starry Sky Empire was no match for the Peak Dragon race. Otherwise, the Peak Dragon race, as one of the 6 great races, didn't seem to live up to its reputation. Bai Hua and the 3 Starry Sky Eagles looked helpless. Since things had come to this, they certainly didn't have a good way to deal with Longao. Until now, the 4 of them still couldn't figure out how Longao managed to subdue a half-step Starry Sky ruler. Even if they saw it with their own eyes, they still couldn't believe it. "Pass down my order. Important people are not allowed to leave the plane without permission. Those who disobey my order will be killed without mercy." The 4 of them weren't surprised at all, because they knew very well that since things had come to this, their master must do so. Otherwise, the number 1 Starry Sky Empire would be completely finished. No one could be sure whether Longao would fight to the death. Even if Longao was willing to go all out, they really couldn't take this risk. After all, the establishment of the #1 Starry Sky Empire had taken many years to maintain. They absolutely couldn't let the #1 Starry Sky Empire perish in their hands. Bai Hua didn't dare to be careless and immediately started to act. As the emperor of the #1 Starry Sky Empire, the interests of the empire came first. Among the 5 of them, he was the one who cared the most about the direction of the empire. The matter of the #1 Starry Sky Empire soon spread throughout the vast starry sky. No one knew what was going on with the #1 Starry Sky Empire, and why they suddenly sealed off the plain. As the most powerful starry sky empire in the vast starry sky, it was really a bit puzzling for them to do such a thing. Gradually, the news that Longao and the Dragon Slayer deterred the #1 Starry Sky Empire once again shocked the entire vast starry sky. Everyone who knew about this matter was shocked and shocked. What was even more shocking was that the old ancestor of the Dragon Clan actually chose to submit to Longao. What was going on? Everyone was guessing one after another. They didn't know what was going on. They didn't know why such a super expert would choose to submit to Longao. Chapter 2551. With the help of Dragon Slayer and the Peak Dragon Clan, Longao had the strength to contend with the 9 great starry sky empires. The situation suddenly changed. In the vast starry sky, the wind and clouds changed. For countless years, the Peak Human Clan had always been dominated by the 9 great starry sky empires. This pattern had never changed because no one could change it unless the Starry Sky Ruler came. However, the Starry Sky Ruler would not intervene in the matters of the vast starry sky at all. No one expected that a monstrous genius would suddenly rise in the vast starry sky and grow to such an extent in just a few hundred years. He had even grown to the point where he could change the pattern of the vast starry sky. Between the 9 great starry sky empires and Longao, it was really unknown who would win. Although the Peak Dragon Clan was powerful, the 9 great starry sky empires of the Peak Human Clan were not to be trifled with. Everyone was watching. This kind of thing would not happen even once in countless years. In a low-level plain, in a secluded pavilion with an elegant environment, the surroundings were very secluded. Dragon Slayer's face was very dignified as he said helplessly, "Master, I'm sorry, but the Peak Dragon Clan was created by me. If Bai Jing and the other Peak Dragon Clan insist on fighting," Dragon Slayer did not finish his words, but the meaning in his words was very clear. Longao nodded, thought for a while and said, "It's not your fault. I don't intend to fight Bai Jing head-on." Dragon Slayer alone could not be a match for the 9 great starry sky empires. If his cultivation could break through the limit of the starry sky immortal realm or go further and reach the half-step starry sky ruler, he would not be afraid even if the 9 half-step starry sky rulers joined forces. It was easy to think about, but it was very difficult to do it. No one knew how long it would take to break through the limit of the starry sky immortal realm. Hundreds of years? Thousands of years? Tens of thousands of years? Even Longao did not have full confidence. He felt helpless. What should he do? "Master, I have something to discuss with you." He nodded. "When I got the secret realm, I chose to cultivate in seclusion to become a half-step starry sky ruler. I was going to come out and lead the Peak Dragon Clan to rise again, but something happened at that time. I had no choice but to continue cultivating in seclusion." "Go on." Longao was very curious about this matter. Not to mention himself, even Yu Long did not know what happened. Under normal circumstances, Dragon Slayer had successfully broken through to the half-step starry sky sovereign realm. He should choose to come out of seclusion and help the Peak Dragon race reach the peak. In the end, Long too chose to continue his closed-door cultivation. As for the reason, perhaps no one knew. Sigh. Letting out a deep sigh, Long Slayer said helplessly, "I believe Master is familiar with Yu Booby, right?" "I know." Back then, I obtained the secret realm by accident. I didn't expect that there would be a second secret realm. All this time, I still don't know who obtained the second secret realm. Could it be you, booby? Longao was not a fool. He instantly understood what Long Slayer meant. If that was the case, then after so many years of cultivation, you booby might not be a peak starry sky immortal, but a half-step starry sky ruler. If that was the case, then things would be very troublesome. In the vast starry sky, strength reigned supreme. If you booby was a peak starry sky immortal, as long as Dragon Slayer returned to the peak of the Dragon Clan, no one would dare to go against Dragon Slayer's wishes. However, the current situation was completely different. With you booby's cultivation base also reaching half-step starry sky ruler, the situation would definitely change. It was really unknown whether the peak of the Dragon Clan belonged to you booby or Dragon Slayer. No matter what, for so many years, you booby had always been the Dragon Emperor of the peak of the Dragon Clan. As for Dragon Slayer, most people only treated him as a legend. As for whether he could take back the peak of the Dragon Clan, no one knew. Dragon Slayer, I already know what you mean. I'll give you 10 days. You can give it a try. Okay. Long Slayer immediately stood up and did not stay any longer. He immediately chose to leave. In a short while, he had disappeared without a trace. Gains and losses could only depend on luck. Longao did not care too much about this matter. After all, if it was just Long Slayer alone, he believed that he would definitely be able to take back the peak of the Dragon Clan. No matter what, the peak of the Dragon Clan was founded by Long Slayer. This was an unchangeable fact. As the ancestor of the peak of the Dragon Clan, Long Slayer had chosen to submit to him. Not to mention outsiders, just the peak of the Dragon Clan alone would probably not be able to accept it. He believed that you booby would also use this as an excuse. Standing up, Longao left the low-level plain. Tianwu continent. In the outer sea within the Crystal Palace. The godly mathematician was not surprised at Longao's arrival. 10 years was just a blink of an eye in the vast starry sky. Rumors of Longao controlling the white-clothed girl spread throughout the starry sky. Others might not care, but Longao could not ignore this matter. That was because Longao already knew that the starry sky ruler had not truly died. If the starry sky ruler chose to believe it, then things would become troublesome. Senior, I believe you should have already guessed why I've come this time. Nodding his head, the divine mathematician said with a smile, I don't believe in rumors, but the identity of the white-clothed girl is still a mystery. Longao, I can even assert that if I can find the white-clothed girl and control her, I should be able to find the secret of the power of primal chaos. Ever since Song Lin had left the mysterious plane, it had completely collapsed. Not even the 10 starry sky rulers had been able to stop it. That was the most shocking thing to them. Senior, the white-clothed girl's whereabouts are erratic, and she's extremely powerful. It won't be easy for us to lock onto her, said the godly mathematician. I know that, but she's too important to us. No matter what happens, I have to lock onto her position as soon as possible. How could Longao not know what the godly mathematician was trying to say? The godly mathematician was in such a hurry to lock onto Song Lin. Other than wanting to use her to obtain primal chaos, the more important reason was that he was afraid that the other starry sky rulers or half-step starry sky rulers would find Song Lin. If that happened, even the godly mathematician would not be able to control her. No one knew what would happen in the end. Although Longao understood this in his heart, he did not say anything. Some things could not be revealed. Seeing Longao remain silent, the godly mathematician said, Longao, I believe you know that my divine chaos tablet can calculate many things. However, I have not yet grasped the primal chaos power in the tablet. Therefore, I cannot calculate everything, especially you and the white-clothed girl. Chapter 2552. He shrugged helplessly. Longao didn't know if Master Clairvoyant was telling the truth or not, and he wouldn't ask. Longao didn't know what Master Clairvoyant meant. He couldn't help Master Clairvoyant obtain the chaos energy within the chaos tablet by relying on his own strength. Master Clairvoyant smiled at Longao's silence. "Do you still remember the chaos rock?" He nodded. "I do." Longao wasn't unfamiliar with the chaos rock in the slightest. According to Master Clairvoyant, he came from the source of chaos and had mastered the chaos energy. His strength was far above Master Clairvoyant's. However, Master Clairvoyant had taken advantage of the severe injuries the chaos rock had suffered and sealed it away, unable to leave the place it was sealed. The place where it was sealed was the so-called Scarlet Fire Town. What did Master Clairvoyant mean by mentioning the chaos rock now? The girl in white may be the breakthrough, but the chaos rock is the key. If I can deal with it, I have full confidence that I can obtain the chaos energy within the chaos tablet. Master Clairvoyant shrugged helplessly. Longao smiled helplessly and said helplessly, "Senior, forgive me for being blunt, but I can't do anything about the chaos rock." He'd already tried, so how could Master Clairvoyant give up? He even suspected that the primal chaos rock had devoured the primal chaos stone tablet as well, and it had grasped the primal chaos energy within the primal chaos stone tablet, just like Tsong Lin. If he could subdue the chaotic giant rock and help it recover its strength, it would be like adding wings to a tiger for him. It was easy to think of it, but difficult to actually do it. If it were easy, Master Clairvoyant would have done it long ago. "We don't have much time left." "Senior, what do you mean?" Longao was very curious and didn't know what Master Clairvoyant meant. Master God Diviner didn't explain further. "I'm sure you're aware of the primordial rock situation. If the primordial rock regains its original strength and breaks out of the seal, then no one in the universe will be a match for it." He sneered inwardly. Master Clairvoyant was afraid. But when he thought about it, it made sense. Although Master God Diviner had consumed the Chaos Tablet, he hadn't been able to control the Chaos power within the tablet. If the Chaos Rock had recovered its original power, Master God Diviner wouldn't have been able to fight it. Longao actually hoped for the Chaos Rock to recover its strength. That way, it could completely suppress Master Clairvoyant. Before the Chaotic Dapeng recovers its strength, I will kill the Chaotic Dapeng as a last resort. He wasn't the slightest bit surprised. Longao had already guessed that the Divine Mathematician would do such a thing. Not to mention the Divine Mathematician, even he would have done the same. Master Clairvoyant Clairvoyant Longao didn't say anything because this matter wasn't something he could control. "Clairvoyant, Longao, Clairvoyant, please tell me what." "Dugu, come out." As soon as Master Clairvoyant spoke, someone walked in. It was none other than Master Clairvoyant's son, Yi Dugu. He had also devoured the Chaos Tablet. If he could refine the Chaos Tablet, he could become the new ruler of the universe. Yi Dugu and Longao each had their own ulterior motive. If it weren't for Master Clairvoyant, they would have long since become enemies. "Brother Dragon, long time no see. How have you been?" "You're welcome." Yi Dugu snorted coldly in his heart because he really couldn't figure out why his father valued Longao so much. He didn't know why his father valued Longao so much. He had always wanted to kill Longao and remove the source of trouble. As time slowly passed, Yi Dugu also began to pay attention to Longao because Longao's growth was too fast, especially when he could shatter the starry sky. Not to mention himself, even his father was afraid of him. Fortunately, Longao's strength wasn't that strong. If Longao's cultivation base could break through to the half-step starry sky ruler realm, or even devour the primal chaos stone tablet, who would be able to suppress Longao? Yi Dugu was very clear that the things he knew, his father definitely knew as well. That was why. Yi Dugu could not understand. Since his father understood this logic, Why did he still let Longao go? Father, do you need me for something? Clairvoyant nodded. Master Clairvoyant looked at his son and said, Dugu, Longao is here to teach you how to shatter the universe. Quickly thank Longao. Longao was a little dumbfounded by Master Clairvoyant's words. He never imagined that Master Clairvoyant would set him up. After all, shattering the universe was the #1 ability in the universe. Even Master Clairvoyant and other rulers of the universe didn't have such a heaven-defying ability. For a long time, many people had hoped to get their hands on this heaven-defying ability, including Master Clairvoyant. Master Clairvoyant hadn't made a move for so long because he was waiting for this moment. What should he do? Should he turn hostile? Longao knew very well that if he chose to fall out with the divine mathematician at this time, then there was no doubt that it would not be a good thing for him. Dugu instantly understood his father's intention. His father definitely wouldn't want to ask for shattering the universe personally. After all, his father's status was there. It was best for him to come forward. Many thanks, Brother Long. Since things had come to this, Longao knew that he couldn't refuse. Otherwise, Master Clairvoyant and Dugu would definitely make a move. Of course, he wouldn't be affected. After all, he had the Primal Chaos Palace. As long as he hid in the Primal Chaos Palace, Longao was confident that even Master Clairvoyant wouldn't be able to do anything to him. Even if he was fine, it didn't mean that the Empire would be fine. If he was unlucky and Master Clairvoyant locked onto the Empire, then it would be troublesome. At that time, no one in the Soaring Dragon Empire would be able to contend with Master Clairvoyant. Dugu felt helpless. Without breaking through to half-step ruler of the universe, without refining the Primal Chaos Tablet, there was no way he could contend with Master Clairvoyant. Master Clairvoyant also had Dugu by his side. With Master Clairvoyant's help, there was no doubt that Dugu would become a ruler of the universe in the future. In the end, Longao could only choose to nod helplessly and agree, no problem. However, Senior Brother Yi, I have to say this first. My shattering starry sky divine ability comes from my bloodline. As for whether I can truly pass it on to you, it is also unknown. If you are unable to comprehend this divine ability at that time, don't blame me. Chapter 2553. The God Diviner smiled. Gudu smiled as well. Gudu and the God Diviner had already decided that once they obtained the shattered starry sky, they would immediately pass it on to the God Diviner. Thinking that they were about to obtain the shattered starry sky divine ability, let alone Gudu, even the God Diviner was excited. They both knew what the shattered starry sky signified. Gudu got up and left with Longao. The God Diviner was the only one left in the Crystal Palace. His bloodline can reproduce the shattered starry sky. Unless Longao is lying, it seems he's not simple. Longao and Gudu arrived at a secluded valley in the Martial Heaven continent. Brother Long, I want to ask, how did you obtain the shattered starry sky? Bloodline reproduction. Bloodline reproduction? What did that mean? He had never heard of a bloodline being able to reproduce such a heaven-defying divine ability. However, Gudu wasn't interested in this at all. He just wanted to live long enough to shatter the starry sky. Gudu was completely confident that Longao wouldn't dare to go against his father's will unless there was something wrong with his head. How could Longao not know what Gudu was thinking? Let's begin. How could Longao be willing to pass on the shattered starry sky to Gudu? It was a complete joke. Even now, he didn't know whether the God Diviner was friend or foe. However, the chances of him being an enemy were very high. He wouldn't cause trouble for himself in the future. Besides that, even if Longao wanted to hand over the shattered starry sky, no one else would be able to obtain it. The reason was simple. Longao had once taught the 9-revolution primal chaos art to his father, grandfather, and even a few of his close female friends. However, there was no doubt that none of them had been able to truly cultivate it. If they couldn't cultivate the 9-revolution primal chaos art, they couldn't obtain the shattered starry sky. Longao even had a feeling that the 9-revolution primal chaos art he had obtained was made for him. No one else could cultivate it. For an entire year, no matter how Yi Gudu cultivated, he was unable to obtain the shattered starry sky. However, Longao didn't teach the 9-revolution primal chaos art to Yi Gudu. One was better to be safe than sorry. If Yi Gudu really cultivated the 9-revolution primal chaos art, he wouldn't even have the chance to regret. He felt helpless. Yi Gudu was very suspicious at first, thinking that Longao was deliberately unwilling to teach him. But what was the result? Longao could do it, but he couldn't. He had wasted a year just like that. In the end, he could only helplessly watch Longao leave. Outer Sea. In the Crystal Palace. When Master God Diviner saw his son walk in, he didn't need to ask. He immediately understood what was going on. It seemed that his son hadn't obtained the shattered starry sky. Master God Diviner had already guessed this, and wasn't surprised at all. Dugu, what's going on? Although he had already guessed that this would be the result, he still wanted to know what was going on. No matter what. Because of his deterrence, he believed that Longao wouldn't hide it. In that case, how did Longao do it? He was very confident in his son's talent. Father, I don't know what's going on, but I can say that Longao didn't hide it. It seems like it's just as he said. The shattered starry sky is his bloodline reproduction. No one else can obtain it. I see. Of course, Master God Diviner wouldn't doubt his son. If that was the case, it seemed that he had underestimated Longao. Father, it seems that Longao isn't simple. Why don't we get rid of this person as soon as possible to avoid future troubles? What do you say? If it was before, Yi Gudu wouldn't have the slightest fear and wouldn't put Longao in his eyes. But now, the situation was completely different. The fact that Longao's bloodline could reproduce and shatter the starry sky caused Yi Gudu to worry about Longao. In the end, Yi Gudu was afraid. He was afraid that when Longao grew up in the future, even he and his father would not be able to suppress Longao. If that time really came, then things would really be troublesome. At that time, he would not even have the chance to regret. How could Master God Diviner not know what his son was thinking? But Master God Diviner said, there's no need to rush. Even if Longao is a big variable, as long as he hasn't devoured the primal chaos tablet, we have nothing to fear. Was that really the case? Before Yi Gudu could speak, Master God Diviner continued, Dugu, I know what you mean, but now is not the time to kill Longao. Wait until the day he devours the primal chaos tablet, then we can make our move. Master God Diviner was very confident. Even now, Longao still hadn't devoured the primal chaos tablet and become a ruler of the starry sky. No matter how strong Longao was, he couldn't threaten Master God Diviner. Master God Diviner had already decided that if Longao ever had the chance to devour the primal chaos tablet, he couldn't allow Longao to become a ruler of the starry sky. It wouldn't be too late to cut the weeds and pull out the root. Yi Gudu knew what his father meant, but he was still worried. Longao was a big variable. If they were unlucky and Longao really did devour the primal chaos tablet without them noticing, then when he became a ruler of the starry sky, not even the two of them would be able to suppress Longao. Father, what if Longao really does become a ruler of the starry sky? What should we do? Don't worry. I'm confident in that. Master God Diviner clearly didn't want to get tangled up in this problem. Yi Gudu tactfully didn't say anything else. After leaving the martial heaven continent, Longao sighed in relief. Fortunately, this matter had been resolved perfectly. If there had been the slightest mistake, he would have been in huge trouble. If he had completely fallen out with Master God Diviner, let alone himself, Even the empire behind him wouldn't have been able to resist. It seemed that many people were still concerned about his ability to shatter the starry sky. However, that made sense. After all, only he could shatter the starry sky. No one else, including the ruler of the starry sky, could possess such a heaven-defying divine ability. He had to think of a way. Otherwise, whether it was Master God Diviner or others, they wouldn't let him off. If things continued like this, how long would it take for him to come to an end? He had wasted a year on the Martial Heaven continent, and he didn't know what was going on with Long Tuesday. Right now, the most important thing was to see what was going on with Long Tuesday. He wanted to see whether Long Tu had won or lost against Ububi over the peak of the dragon race. No matter what his goal was, he had to help Long Tu regain the peak of the dragon race. Chapter 2554. Longao, who had just left the Tianwu continent, had already received news about the Peak Dragon clan. A year ago, with the sudden return of the Peak Dragon clan's ancestor, Long Tu, the entire Peak Dragon clan was in an uproar. Everyone knew that Long Tu had been dead for many years, but they never expected that someone who had already died would suddenly return to the Peak Dragon clan. Under normal circumstances, with Long Tu's arrival, Ububi would definitely return the power of the Dragon Emperor to Long Tu, this was without a doubt. But the result? Not only did Ububi not hand over the position of Dragon Emperor, but he also completely fell out with Long Tu and fought. What kind of concept was this? Ububi was also a half-step Starry Sky Dominator, and his strength was completely capable of fighting against Long Tuesday. This was something that no one expected. The Peak Dragon clan was not one-sided. As time passed, the Peak Dragon clan formed two factions, one supported Long Tu, and the other supported Ububi. However, the four supreme elders of the Peak Dragon clan, including 70% of the clansmen, all chose to support Ububi. Long Tu was not discouraged at all, because he knew very well that for so many years, it had been Ububi who had been in charge of the Peak Dragon clan, and he had not interfered for many years. Longao soon found Long Tuesday. Long Tu, what's the situation now? Long Tu's expression was very solemn, and he said helplessly, Master, I never thought that Ububi would be much stronger than I imagined, and 70% of the Peak Dragon clan chose to support Ububi. Even I can't do anything about it. Longao already understood the general situation. In this situation, even he could not help much. Long Tu, if this continues, it will definitely not benefit us at all. How about this, you take all the clansmen and return to the Soaring Dragon Empire with me first. Okay. Of course, Long Tu would not have the slightest objection. Since Longao was his master, he would not dare to disobey whatever Longao said. If Longao said one, he would definitely not dare to disobey. Longao did not let all the divine dragons step into the Soaring Dragon Empire because he did not know if there were any spies from the Dragon Clan among these divine dragons. If there were spies, it would not be a good thing for the Empire. Long Slayer also knew what his master meant. Not far from the Soaring Dragon dimension, Longao found a separate dimension and settled all the divine dragons down temporarily. 30% of the Peak Dragon tribe's mystical dragons were extremely useful to the Empire. Ancestor? In the pavilion at the back of the mountain. Looking at the Dragon Slayer before him, Yulong was completely dumbfounded. Being in the Soaring Dragon Empire, Xiao Chen knew nothing about what happened in the vast starry heavens, including what happened to the Peak Dragon race. Long Tu did not hide anything at all and told him everything in detail. Of course, Long Slayer knew about the relationship between Yulong and Longao. Yulong, from now on you will follow Long Tuesday. I will do my best to help you. No matter what, we must take back the Peak Dragon tribe. I know what to do. Yulong certainly knew what Longao meant. If it was just him alone, even with Longao's help, it would be almost impossible to take back the Peak Dragon tribe. Especially since Ububi had become a half-step Starry Sky dominator, his strength was there. Not to mention the two of them, even the 9 great Starry Sky empires would have to think twice if they wanted to deal with the Peak Dragon tribe. However, the situation was completely different now. The Ancestor had already submitted to Longao. With the help of the Ancestor, they had a chance to take back the Peak Dragon tribe. Master, what should we do now? In the end, Long Slayer still did not want to go head-to-head with Ububi because whether he won or the other party won, the Peak Dragon tribe's strength would be lost. He was the one who created the Peak Dragon tribe. He definitely did not want to see the Peak Dragon tribe destroyed in his own hands. How could Longao not know what Long Slayer meant? Let's wait and see first. Let me think about it. Long Slayer and Yulong did not say anything and left the pavilion. Grandpa, why are you here? Long Haosher smiled and said, Grandpa misses you. Did anything special happen while you were away? No, everything's fine. No matter what happened outside, Longao wouldn't tell his grandfather and the others because he didn't want them to worry. Especially the matter of the divine mathematician, he didn't mention it at all. Long Haosher was not a fool. He knew what his grandson meant and pretended not to know. Grandpa, there's something I really want to ask you. Tell me. Longao did not hide anything. He told his grandpa about him, Long Slayer and the Peak Dragon tribe. As the saying went, the older the wiser. Long Haosher thought for a while and said, Aoer, according to what you said, I roughly understand. Just like you said, Long Slayer definitely does not want to go head-to-head. No matter what, the Peak Dragon tribe was created by Long Slayer. He does not want to see the Peak Dragon tribe destroyed in his hands. Longao did not say anything. He just listened quietly. So at this time, don't go head-to-head with Ububi. You can only win with wisdom, not strength. You can only win with wisdom, not strength. Grandpa, I think so too. But the situation now is very special. I have no idea what to do. So, I want to ask Grandpa, what should I do next? Long Haosher smiled and said, Aoer, capture the leader first. The Peak Dragon tribe is fighting against Long Slayer because of Ububi. So, we only have one enemy, Ububi. As long as we take care of Ububi, Long Slayer and Yulong will appear. I believe the Peak Dragon tribe will submit to us. Longao immediately understood what his grandpa meant. According to the current situation, it was indeed a good idea to capture the leader first. However, Ububi's strength was there. Even if Long Slayer and himself worked together, they would not be able to kill Ububi. Not to mention others, even the Star Dominator would not be able to kill Ububi. They could only suppress him by force. Without waiting for Longao to speak, Long Haosher continued, Aoer, the situation is very unfavorable for us. It is almost impossible to kill Ububi head-on. Regarding this matter, Longao was clear about it. This was also the thing that he felt the most helpless about. If he couldn't kill Ububi, it would mean that he couldn't take over the pinnacle of the dragon race. Be it for himself, Long Tu, or Yulong, this wasn't a good thing. What should they do? Aoer, we've already waited for so many years. It won't hurt to continue waiting. As long as someone in our empire can become a Starry Sky Dominator or a half-step Starry Sky Dominator, it shouldn't be difficult for two people to join forces and kill Ububi. Chapter 2555. It was easy to think about it, but it was difficult to actually do it. God knew how long it would take to refine the Chaos Tablet and become a Starry Sky ruler. In the end, this situation was very unfavorable to him. The only way was to wait for his cultivation to break through. Even if he broke through the limit of Starry Sky Immortal Realm, it would be difficult to kill Ububi. It was a helpless matter. Longao and Long Haosher chatted briefly before Long Haosher got up and left. Longao did not leave the soaring dragon empire. Instead, he accompanied his mother and his lover. As for Longyun, Longao was not very worried. In his opinion, men should be experienced. Otherwise, they would never be able to grow. He stayed there for several decades. Longao left the empire quietly. No one knew. As for Yulong and Long Tu, they chose to endure because neither of them wanted anything to happen to the peak of the dragon race. If they chose to fight head-on, even if they could take back the peak of the dragon race, they would suffer great losses. Such an outcome was something they did not want to see. Before Longao left, he repeatedly reminded them not to act rashly without his consent. Of course, Long Tu did not dare to disobey. As for Yulong, he treated Longao as a brother and did not have any objections. This time, the most important reason why Longao dared to leave the empire was because of Long Tuesday. As a half-step starry sky ruler, Long Tu's strength was above Bai Jing's. With such a super powerhouse overseeing the empire, he believed that he did not have to be afraid of anyone except the divine mathematician. Other than the divine mathematician, he believed that even the other starry sky rulers were no match for Long Tuesday. There was no doubt that among the 12 starry sky rulers of the vast starry sky, other than the divine mathematician, the other starry sky rulers had not truly refined the Chaos Tablet. Before becoming a starry sky ruler, no one was a match for Long Tuesday. Longao was very worried about Song Lin's safety. Although he knew that Song Lin was very strange, it was better to be careful. If something happened to Song Lin, he would not even have the chance to regret. It was very helpless. Until now, he had no way to lock onto Song Lin's position. He could not lock onto Song Lin's position and could only wait for Song Lin to come find him. But all these years, there had been no position for Song Lin. A few months after leaving the empire, Longao met the ruler of the starry sky, the heavenly Tao. He did not know if the heavenly Tao was doing it on purpose or not. Longao, long time no see. How have you been? The heavenly Tao and Longao were old acquaintances, because both of them came from the Sky Martial continent. Back then, the heavenly Taos had been the strongest expert on the Martial Heaven continent aside from the God Diviner. As for Longao, he was just a small piece of trash in Scarlet Fire Town. No matter how hard he tried to cultivate, he could not succeed. If he had not encountered the Dragon Seal, it was likely that Longao would still be a piece of trash in Scarlet Fire Town. It had only been a few hundred years. Longao had grown from a trash to a starry sky immortal expert. He was only one step away from reaching the peak starry sky immortal realm. Longao smiled and said, "It's been many years since we last met. You are good, I am good, and everyone is good." The heavenly Tao disapproved of Longao's indifference. Back in the Sky Martial continent, the two of them had not been on good terms. If not for the God Diviner causing trouble, the heavenly Tao would have already dealt with Longao. "Heavenly Tao, if there is nothing else, I will take my leave." He did not want to waste words with the heavenly Tao. They would definitely be enemies in the future. There was no doubt about it. Take care. Just as Longao was about to turn and leave, the heavenly Tao suddenly spoke. "Is something the matter?" Longao was very curious. He did not know why the heavenly Tao had stopped him. After all, with his relationship with the heavenly Tao, it was already very good that they did not immediately start a fight. Longao, in 1,000 years, I will be able to refine the primal chaos stone tablet and become the ruler of the starry sky again. Does it have anything to do with me? Longao did not react on the surface, as if it had nothing to do with him. But inside, he was shocked to the extreme. 1,000 years sounded like a long time, but to a cultivator of the starry sky, 1,000 years was nothing. Sometimes, when a cultivator of the starry sky entered seclusion, 1,000 years would pass in the blink of an eye. Longao had never imagined that the heavenly Tao would be able to refine the primal chaos stone tablet and become the ruler of the starry sky in just 1,000 years. Longao knew very well what it meant for the heavenly Tao to become the ruler of the starry sky. It was a completely different concept, but what he couldn't figure out was why the heavenly Tao was telling him this. No matter what, he and the heavenly Tao were at odds. The heavenly Tao was not the slightest bit angry. Instead, it smiled. Longao, my meaning is very simple. You are currently surrounded by enemies. As for what the situation is, you should know better than I do. Longao did not speak. Even now, he still did not know what the heavenly Tao meant. To tell you the truth, in 1,000 years, I believe that besides me, the other rulers of the starry sky will have refined the primal chaos stone tablet. The difference in time won't be too great. Longao still did not speak, because he still did not know what the heavenly Tao meant. Beating around the bush was very boring. I don't want to say anything else. I hope that we can join forces. No matter what we encounter, we will stand together. How about it? Hearing the heavenly Tao's meaning, Longao was shocked. He really couldn't figure out why the heavenly Tao would do this. Under normal circumstances, if the heavenly Tao could become the ruler of the starry sky in 1,000 years, it should be the strongest in the vast starry sky. At this time, the heavenly Tao should not care about him. How could it still ally with him? It was a complete joke. Heavenly Tao, let's open the window and speak frankly. There is no need to beat around the bush. What do you mean? Just say it. The heavenly Tao made a gesture of invitation and turned to leave. Longao obviously knew what the heavenly Tao meant. Without hesitation, he followed because he also wanted to know what the heavenly Tao meant. Why did it suddenly want to ally with him? The more he thought about it, the more it felt like a joke. It was complete nonsense. The heavenly Tao took Longao east. After walking for a few minutes, the two arrived at a plain. As soon as they stepped into the plain, Longao released the power of his Yuan spirit and covered the entire plain. He was a little surprised because Longao did not expect that this plain would be empty except for the two of them. In other words, this plain was an empty shell. Why did the heavenly Tao bring them here? Their curiosity was piqued. The two of them came to an elegant villa and sat around a stone table, facing each other. Chapter 2556. Heavenly Tao, what do you mean? Longao didn't want to talk nonsense and asked straightforwardly. Longao, to tell you the truth, after what happened last time, I've discovered that the clairvoyant is ambitious. Although he didn't take advantage of this opportunity to suppress us, I believe that it's not because he's soft-hearted, but because he has other motives. Longao didn't say anything. He couldn't figure out what this had to do with him. Even if the clairvoyant destroyed the heavenly Tao, it had nothing to do with him. The heavenly Tao really had nothing better to do. How could the heavenly Tao not know what Longao was thinking in his heart? Longao, I know that you're very curious. Even if the other rulers of the stars are far stronger than you, in my heart, I value you more. Longao still didn't say anything because he really didn't want to ally with the heavenly Tao. As the saying goes, one shouldn't have the heart to harm others, but one must be wary of others. Who knew what the heavenly Tao meant? If the heavenly Tao stabbed him in the back after the alliance, he wouldn't even have a chance to fight back. It wasn't like this hadn't happened before. Previously, because of his trust, he was almost killed by Gongsun He's sneak attack. Even now, it was still vivid in his mind. Once bitten, twice shy. Such a mistake would never be made a second time. Longao, I know what you mean. You can rest assured that we can all make a blood oath. He waved his hand. Before the heavenly Tao finished speaking, Longao said, Heavenly Tao, we're all smart people. There's no need to dilly-dally. The grudge between you and the clairvoyant, as well as the other rulers of the stars, has nothing to do with me. he sneered in his heart. Longao certainly knew that the Heavenly Tao didn't really want to ally with him. He didn't care for such an alliance and didn't want to cause trouble for himself for no reason. If it were anyone else, they would be overjoyed to have an alliance with a ruler of the stars. How could they choose to refuse? Except for Longao. He refused directly, not even giving the Heavenly Tao a chance. Who the hell knew what the Heavenly Tao meant? But Heavenly Tao wasn't angry. He smiled and said, Longao, you have the ability to break space. If I'm not mistaken, Master God Diviner and the other space rulers will be after you. This was the key point. Even if Longao wanted to refute, he didn't know how to do so. This was because the fact that he possessed the ability to shatter the starry sky had already spread throughout the vast starry sky. It could be said that everyone knew about it. It would be strange if no one coveted his shattering starry sky spirit technique. Longao felt a headache coming on. Master God Diviner and Yi Dugu had been thinking about this for a long time, and although he had managed to fool them, he was confident that they wouldn't give up. Seeing that Longao did not speak, the Heavenly Tao knew that it had guessed correctly. Longao, Yang Qi said, although your latent talent and cultivation speed surpass that of ordinary people, you should ask yourself if you're strong enough to stand up to Master God Diviner and the others. There was no way to stand up to them. Longao didn't want to listen to the Heavenly Tao, but he knew that the Heavenly Tao was telling the truth. Although Longao still didn't know why Master God Diviner hadn't made a move against him, he was certain that as long as there was a chance, Master God Diviner wouldn't let him go. Whether it was to cut the weeds and pull out the roots, or because of his secrets, there was no doubt that Master God Diviner would deal with him. Longao, when you become a space ruler, I can help you with all my strength. I also believe that when the primal chaos plane descended, you devoured the primal chaos tablet. What do you think? A half smile. The Heavenly Tao's expression told Longao that it was completely confident that he had obtained the primal chaos tablet. Longao didn't say anything. He didn't admit it, but he didn't disagree. As long as Master God Diviner didn't know about this, Longao didn't care about anyone else. In any case, the Heavenly Tao still had over 1,000 years before he could refine the primal chaos tablet and become a space ruler. Longao was completely confident that in that time, he could break through the limits of the starry sky immortal realm. If his luck was good, he might be able to refine the attributeless primal chaos tablet. At that time, if he really did become a space ruler, he could ignore anyone, including Master God Diviner and the Heavenly Tao, taking 10,000 steps back. Even if his luck was bad and he couldn't refine the primal chaos tablet and become a space ruler, he still had the primal chaos palace. Even space rulers, including Master God Diviner, wouldn't be able to do anything to him. Longao was still very confident in the primal chaos palace. Seeing that Longao wasn't speaking, the Heavenly Tao began to feel uncertain. Was Longao not afraid of Master God Diviner and the others? The Heavenly Tao began to panic. He had come here mainly to win over Longao. After decades of searching, he had finally found Longao. If he missed this chance, who knew how long he would have to wait? In truth, the Heavenly Tao was very depressed. As a space ruler, if he wanted, the vast universe, including other space rulers, would be eager to form an alliance with him. No matter what, his strength was there for all to see. Only Longao. It was as if forming an alliance with him was a very bad thing. However, the Heavenly Tao suppressed the anger in his heart. His intuition told him that Longao wasn't simple. Otherwise, Master God Diviner wouldn't treat Longao like this. He knew Master God Diviner too well. Without enough benefits, Master God Diviner wouldn't do this. Thinking of this, after thinking about it, in the end, Tian Dao was still prepared to rope in Longao. Maybe Longao was his luck. Since things had already come to this, he could only take a gamble. Even if he lost, he would not lose out. Longao, even if you don't fear anyone, aren't you afraid that your family will be implicated? Without waiting for Longao to speak, the heavenly Tao continued, I believe you know the strength of Master God Diviner and other space rulers better than I do. I know that you have already moved your empire, but if you fall out with others in the future and your empire is locked down, think about what will happen. At this point, Tian Dao did not continue to speak because he had already said so much. There was no point in continuing to speak. If Longao still wanted to refuse, then no matter how much he said, it would not have much meaning. Everything depended on Longao. Regarding the meaning of the heavenly Tao, Longao already knew clearly. As the heavenly Tao said, Longao didn't care about himself. Anyway, he had the primal Chaos Palace. He didn't fear anyone, including Master God Diviner and other space rulers. But what about his family? This was the biggest problem. Chapter 2557. He felt helpless. Longao's weakness was his family. There was no doubt about it. If someone in his family could refine the Chaos Tablet and become the ruler of the universe, then he wouldn't have to worry about anything. But the current situation was very special. Up until now, no one in his family who had devoured the Chaos Tablet was able to refine it in a short period of time without exception. It was far away. If this situation continued, then it was indeed a troublesome matter. What should he do? Longao was very willing to form an alliance with the heavenly Tao. After all, the heavenly Tao's strength was there for all to see. But in the current situation, he didn't know what the heavenly Tao meant. If the heavenly Tao was like Gongsun He and stabbed him in the back at a critical moment, then he might not be lucky every time. If he was unlucky once, then he would be completely finished. Longao wasn't willing to take such a risk. The heavenly Tao didn't speak and just sat there quietly. Time passed quietly. Heavenly Tao, I have important things to do now. As for our alliance, I will look for you later. Okay. Longao got up and bid farewell. In a short while, he disappeared without a trace. The heavenly Tao's mouth slowly curved into a sneer. Now that the universe was changing, it wasn't necessarily a bad thing to rope in Longao. If it were any other time, he wouldn't do this even if he was beaten to death. It didn't seem like what a ruler of the universe would say or do. Not killing Longao was already a very good thing. After leaving the plane, Longao felt very helpless in his heart. He had too many concerns. Before his family refined the Chaos Tablet and became the ruler of the universe, he couldn't be reckless. Otherwise, he wouldn't even have the chance to regret it. Should he form an alliance with the heavenly Tao? Or reject the heavenly Tao? For a moment, Longao didn't know what to choose. After thinking about it, he felt that something was wrong. As the saying went, if one step was wrong, then all would be wrong. So he couldn't take a wrong step. If he took a wrong step, then he would be doomed eternally. The more he thought about it, the more troublesome it was. The more he thought about it, the more helpless he felt. The more he thought about it, the more he didn't know what to do. If he didn't solve this problem, then it wouldn't be a solution. The Pinnacle Dragon Clan was one of the 6 Pinnacle clans. Right now, the Peak Dragon race was having internal strife. On one side was Yu Booby, and on the other side was Long Tuesday. However, based on the current situation, Long Tu was clearly at a disadvantage. It was almost impossible for him to take back the peak of the Dragon Clan. If Dragon Slayer and Yu Booby joined forces, the Dragon Clan would have 2 half-step Starry Sky rulers. What kind of concept was that? However, it was almost impossible for Yu Booby and Dragon Slayer to join forces. As the saying went, a mountain could not accommodate 2 tigers. If the 2 of them were not concerned about the foundation of the dragon race, they would have fought a long time ago. If the foundation of the dragon race was damaged, it would not be easy for them to recover. Longao did not hide his whereabouts when he entered the Peak Dragon Clan's plane. Very soon, the news of Longao stepping into the bounded domain had already spread to the Peak Dragon race. They were on high alert. Ububi left with 4 Grand Elders and 8 Elders at the same time. From there, they locked onto Longao's location. If it was just Longao, Ububi wouldn't be afraid. However, the current situation was very special. Not only was Longao alone, but he also had the ancestor of the Peak Dragon clan, Long Tu, with him. Ububi was not afraid of Longao, but he was not afraid of Long Tuesday. No matter what, Long Tu was still a half-step Starry Sky ruler. There must not be the slightest accident. Ububi knew very well that if he was not careful, not only would he lose his life, but he would also lose the entire Peak Dragon clan. Outside the Peak Dragon clan, Ububi and the others looked coldly at Longao in front of them. They sneered and said, "Longao, you'd better get lost while I'm in a good mood. Otherwise what?" He didn't care at all. Since he had rushed over, he definitely wasn't afraid of the Peak Dragon clan or Ububi. Otherwise, he wouldn't have come alone. Seeing that Longao didn't care, Ububi's face became gloomier. He said, "Longao, where is your lackey, Long Tu? Why don't you hand him over and let us meet?" Again, Ububi wasn't afraid of Longao, but he was afraid of Long Tuesday. Everyone knew that Long Tu had chosen to submit to Longao. Who knew where he was hiding? If Long Tu attacked secretly, Ububi wouldn't be able to stop him. How could Longao not know what Ububi meant? He didn't bring Long Tu with him this time. Compared to him, his family was more important. After all, Long Tu was in the Empire, so he could rest assured. As long as the marvelous mathematician didn't attack, no one in the vast universe could be a match for Long Tuesday. As for himself, he had the primal Chaos Palace. Therefore, Longao was confident that he wouldn't be afraid of anyone, including Ububi. No one could lock onto his location. "Ububi, are you afraid of Long Tu?" Ha 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 ha. Ububi laughed wildly. His laughter was filled with disdain and ridicule. He said, "Longao, you better get this straight. If I'm afraid of Long Tu, I would have left the dragon tribe a long time ago. If he had the ability, he would be the dragon emperor of the dragon tribe now, not me. What do you think?" Longao didn't care about this at all. He believed that with his help, Long Tu and Yulong could take back the dragon tribe. As for taking back the dragon tribe, Longao had decided that he wouldn't let Long Tu become the dragon emperor of the dragon tribe. Instead, he would let Yulong become the dragon emperor. "Ububi, if you're not afraid, you wouldn't be like this. The battle between the dragon tribe and the dragon tribe is still unknown. I'm here to go to a place." "Dragon Tomb? You're really smart." Longao came this time because of the dragon's tomb. According to Long Tu, when he chose to cultivate in seclusion, although he sealed himself and formed the so-called dragon's vein, there was a treasure left in the dragon's tomb. Although he couldn't use this treasure, he knew very well that this treasure was definitely not simple. Otherwise, it wouldn't be sealed in the dragon's tomb. Speaking of the dragon tomb, Ububi's face was indescribably gloomy. For so many years, he had been wanting to enter the dragon tomb. However, because Long Tu sealed it with his own bloodline, he couldn't enter at all. Ububi wasn't a fool. Of course, he knew that Long Tu, who created the dragon tomb, had hidden something good inside. Under such circumstances, how could Ububi allow Longao to enter the dragon tomb? Chapter 2558 Dragon's Tomb. Ububi couldn't wait to enter the dragon's tomb. However, even though he had broken through to the half-step Star Dominator level, he couldn't enter the dragon's tomb smoothly. He sneered. "Longao, do you think you can enter the dragon's tomb? What do you think?" Ububi didn't care about Longao's question at all. After confirming again and again, Ububi was confident that Dragon Slayer didn't come with Longao. Otherwise, Longao wouldn't have to ask him. He could have entered the dragon's tomb smoothly under Dragon Slayer's lead. As long as Dragon Slayer wasn't there, he didn't have to worry about anything. How could Longao not know what Ububi meant? He didn't want to waste any more time and turned to leave. You want to leave? Just as Longao was about to leave, the 4 Supreme Elders and 8 Elders attacked at the same time. The combined power of the 12 Star Dominators could kill a Star Dominator in a matter of minutes. However, the result? Right under everyone's eyes, Longao disappeared without a trace. He disappeared into thin air. Even Ububi couldn't locate Longao, let alone the 12 of them. The 13 of them didn't believe it when they heard the rumors. However, seeing it with their own eyes, they couldn't believe it. Lord Dragon Emperor, what should we do now? Follow me. Ububi already knew that Longao came for the dragon's tomb. As long as they guarded the dragon's tomb, they wouldn't be afraid that Longao wouldn't show up. Waiting for him. 3 months passed in the blink of an eye. Ububi and the others started to get impatient. They even suspected that Longao came for the dragon's tomb. Luring the tiger away from the mountain? They didn't continue to guard the dragon's tomb because Ububi knew that if Longao didn't show up, they would have to guard the dragon's tomb forever. If that was the case, when would it end? If the dragon's tomb was in the Peak Dragon clan, it would be fine. However, Dragon Slayer was afraid that things would change, so he placed the dragon's tomb in another place on the plain. Now that all the powerhouses of the Dragon clan were guarding the dragon tomb, it was not a problem. Longao sneered as he watched Ububi and the rest of his men flee. Whether it was the pinnacle of the Dragon clan or the dragon tomb, they were all in the Dragon clan's plane. Ububi and the rest dared to leave the dragon's tomb because they had nothing to fear. Ububi was confident that as long as Longao dared to open the dragon's tomb, they would be able to arrive instantly within a second. Actually, the real reason Ububi left was because he wanted to kill 2 birds with 1 stone. First, it was to successfully lure out Longao and kill him. If he stayed here and Longao didn't dare to appear because he was afraid of him, then he would never be able to locate Longao. With Longao's strength alone, it was unknown if he would dare to come, let alone provoke him. But the situation now was different. Longao had a heaven-defying star artifact. Even he couldn't locate Longao. To him, it was a great humiliation. Second, Ububi wanted to enter the dragon's tomb very much because he knew very well what it meant to enter the dragon's tomb. He still couldn't figure out why Dragon Slayer didn't come personally. After all, with Dragon Slayer's strength, even he couldn't forcefully stop him. However, if Dragon Slayer didn't come, then Longao was his only chance. If he stayed in the dragon's tomb and didn't leave, Longao wouldn't dare to appear because he was afraid of him. Then, he wouldn't even have a chance to enter the dragon's tomb. Combining these 2 points, Ububi decided to lure the snake out of its hole and kill 2 birds with 1 stone. How could Longao not know what Ububi was thinking? Originally, Dragon Slayer said that he would enter the dragon's tomb by himself. However, he was still worried about going head-to-head with Ububi. If that really happened, the one who would suffer in the end would be the Peak Dragon clan. Unless it was a last resort, Dragon Slayer really didn't want to do that. After thinking about it, Dragon Slayer finally told Longao how to open the seal because it was the best choice for Longao to enter the dragon's tomb. There was another reason. Dragon Slayer didn't come mainly because the treasure in the dragon's tomb wasn't important to him at all. It didn't matter whether he wanted it or not. It was really not worth it to let a Peak Dragon clan suffer for an insignificant treasure. Longao was also very curious. He didn't know what the treasure was, but if Dragon Slayer wanted it, it shouldn't be something ordinary. However, even Dragon Slayer couldn't use the treasure, which was a little shocking. Dragon Slayer was the real #1 person under the Starry Sky Dominator, the number 1 half-step Starry Sky Dominator. Looking at the empty space in front of him, Longao knew that he only had one chance. He had to enter the dragon's tomb in the shortest time possible. Otherwise, with Yu-Bubi's strength and speed, it would only take a second or even less to arrive here. He took a deep breath. According to the method Dragon Slayer taught him, Longao's hands kept forming seals. After a strong spatial fluctuation, a white light suddenly appeared in front of him. It was the space gate to the dragon's tomb. Ha 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 ha. Along with a burst of laughter, Yu-Bubi and the others all arrived. Looking at the white space gate in front of them, the 13 of them naturally knew what it meant. Longao, ha ha ha, let's see where you can run to. Yu-Bubi directly entered the white space gate. As for the remaining 12 people, they were all going to kill Longao. Yu-Bubi's intention was very simple. Even if the 12 of them couldn't kill Longao, they could at least delay him. He just wanted to enter the dragon's tomb and see what secrets Longao had hidden. In the blink of an eye, Yu-Bubi had already entered the space gate. Under normal circumstances, it would be easy for 12 people to surround and kill one person. However, the 12 of them encountered Longao. With a turn of his body, Longao's figure also disappeared into the white space gate with time teleportation. Time teleportation. Seeing Longao's speed soar to the limit, the 12 of them were a little dumbfounded. This was because the peak of speed was time teleportation. However, it seemed that other than the ruler of time and space, no one in the entire vast universe could control time teleportation. If that was the case, how did Longao control time teleportation? If the difference in realm was too great, the 12 of them could certainly choose to ignore Longao's time teleportation. However, the situation was very different now. Longao's realm had already reached the Starry Sky Immortal Realm. Under time teleportation, no one among the 12 of them could catch up to him. This was without a doubt. Chapter 2559. Yu-Bubi and Longao entered the spatial gate one after another. Just as the 12 of them were about to enter the spatial gate, it disappeared without a trace. What should we do now? It's okay. The Dragon Emperor has already become a half-step Starry Sky Dominator. Longao alone is no match for the Dragon Emperor. Thinking of Yu-Bubi's strength, the 12 of them were not worried. Entering the Dragon Tomb this time was a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity for the Dragon Emperor. If they could take advantage of this opportunity to kill Longao, it would be killing 2 birds with 1 stone. Dragon Tomb. When Longao chose to cultivate in seclusion, he chose to create the Dragon Tomb in another part of the plane to leave himself a way out. The Dragon Tomb's space was huge. Even Longao and Yu-Bubi's primordial spirits could not cover how big the Dragon Tomb's space was. They were not surprised at all. Whether it was Longao or Yu-Bubi, of course, they knew what was going on. If there were no surprises, when Longao created the Dragon Tomb space, he must have connected it to another plane. In that case, no one knew how big the space was. Dragon Tomb space. Yu-Bubi and Longao looked at each other. You looked at me and I looked at you. Both of them didn't say anything. They just looked at each other quietly. Longao, I want to know the secret of the Dragon Tomb. Do you think I'll tell you? Yu-Bubi was not angry at all. He sneered with a strange expression on his face. In the next second, before Longao could react, Yu-Bubi's body suddenly released a terrifying aura that enveloped him. Oh no. In an instant, Longao understood what was going on. Although he did not know how Yu-Bubi did it, the situation was special. He was locked on by the aura. What did this mean? Based on the current situation, he could not enter the Chaos Palace. With his strength alone, he was no match for Yu-Bubi. To lock the surrounding space and prevent Longao from entering the Chaos Palace, it would take at least a few half-step Starry Sky Dominators to do it. It was impossible for a half-step starry sky ruler to accomplish such a feat. Ha ha. Ha 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 ha. Ha 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 ha. Seeing that Longao was unable to enter the spatial space divine item, Ububi laughed maniacally. Longao, let me show you my true strength. With a dragon's roar, Ububi's body kept changing. Within a few seconds, a huge dragon appeared in the sky, looking down at Longao. Ububi's real body was far more powerful than his human form. It was premeditated. It would be a lie to say that he wasn't afraid. Longao knew very well that even though he had fused with the chaotic 9-colored lotus flower and possessed 9 lives, this was still not a solution. If Ububi kept attacking him, he could die once, twice, or even 8 times. What if he died 9 times? The Chaos 9-colored lotus flower could die a total of 9 times. When it died 9 times, it would mean that he had died, covering the entire sky. Ububi's body was simply way too huge. It was as though he wanted to kill Longao with a single strike. His strikes were thunderous, as though he could not wait to kill Longao instantly, without giving him any chance at all. The horrifying attacks came one after another, relentless and relentless, going head to head. Since Lin Fan could not enter the Chaos Palace, neither could he use time teleportation. There was only one thing he could do right now, and that was to go head to head with Ububi. Wielding the Chaos Axe, Lin Fan slashed out at Ububi's gigantic body. Chaos 9 axes, first axe, hell devouring. The surroundings were like hell, turning cold instantly. With a loud boom, the entire world was shaken. Longao's body flew out like a kite with a broken string. However, he managed to turn around forcefully in midair. Even though he had suffered some light injuries, this was enough to prove Longao's strength. Ububi was not hurt at all. However, he was extremely shocked. This was because Ububi could not figure it out. With his strength, he thought that he could kill Longao in one hit. Even if he could not kill Longao, he could at least severely injure him. But what was the result? Longao was only lightly injured. If he had not seen it with his own eyes, he would not have believed it. Could it be that there was something wrong with his strength? Ububi was very confident in his own strength. From this, he could tell that the legendary Longao was really strong. To be able to take more than 10 hits from him without being defeated, and only suffering some light injuries. Just based on this point alone, Ububi had to get rid of him completely. Otherwise, he would be in even more trouble in the future. Longao was shocked as well. Ububi was indeed powerful. Even if he was not as strong as Long Tu, he was not far off. No wonder Long Tu could not kill Ububi. In the next second, Ububi's gigantic body rushed over once again, not giving Longao any chance to catch his breath. Go all out. Under such circumstances, he could not be distracted. He could not have the slightest intention of retreating. Otherwise, he would definitely lose to Ububi. At that time, he would not even have the chance to regret. He could only choose to fight head-on. He could only advance and not retreat. Die. Just as Ububi said the word die, Longao's figure suddenly disappeared. Longao disappeared? Seeing Longao disappear right under his nose, Ububi was completely shocked. This was because he was very confident in his spatial lock. This was his physical lock. Longao alone should not be able to break through his spatial lock. In this case, he really could not figure out how Longao did it. Ububi, I hope you can leave the dragon's tomb alive. In an instant, Ububi already knew what had happened. In the end, the dragon tomb was a trap set up by Dragon Slayer. Perhaps it wasn't set up for him back then, but it had become a trap for him due to a freak combination of factors. He was furious. He thought that there would be some important secret in the dragon's tomb, but he did not expect it to be a trap. A trap for him. No wonder Longao did not leave after entering the dragon's tomb. Instead, he chose to fight head-on. The unknown was the scariest. Ububi did not know what kind of trap Long Tu had set for him. The surrounding air began to churn violently. It was as if the sea was surging. Somewhere else in the dragon's tomb. Longao sneered. This time, he and Long Tu did it on purpose. He came here in hopes that Ububi would lower his guard and follow him. Otherwise, with his teleportation speed, how could he let Ububi step into the dragon's tomb? Chapter 2560. He did not care about Ububi. This was because according to Long Tu, it was really unknown whether the trap that he had set back then could successfully kill Long Tuesday regardless of whether he could kill Ububi or not. He had to give it a try. Especially now that Ububi had been tricked into entering the dragon tomb space. If he chose to give up at this time, he would be a little unwilling. Whether he could kill Ububi or not would depend on luck. This time, Longao still wanted to see the starry sky divine weapon that Long Tu had obtained back then. With the location given by Long Tu, Longao found the tomb cave residence in the dragon tomb. Inside the huge tomb cave residence, a huge black stone tablet stood in the cave residence. On the black stone tablet, a lifelike black dragon was carved. It looked extremely realistic. Chaos Stone Tablet? Before coming, Long Tu had told him that the starry sky divine weapon he had obtained back then was very likely the legendary Chaos Stone Tablet. However, Long Tu was not too sure. Moreover, he could not move the black stone tablet at all, let alone devour it. Whether the black stone tablet was the so-called Chaos Stone Tablet was still unknown. It turned out that, back then, Long Tu had accidentally obtained the black stone tablet. Since he could not devour it, he could only choose to set up the dragon tomb space around the black stone tablet and seal it. In the end, Long Tu still believed that the black stone tablet he had found was very likely the legendary Chaos Stone Tablet. For so many years, no one had known about this secret. It could be said that other than Long Tu, Longao was the second person to know about this. If it were any other time, Long Tu would definitely not tell anyone about the black stone tablet, including Longao. However, the current situation was very special. Long Tu had already chosen to submit to Longao, so if the black stone tablet was obtained by Longao, it would not be a bad thing. Just because Long Tu could not devour it did not mean that he could not devour it either. However, Longao did not intend to devour the Chaos Stone Tablet in front of him, even if the black stone tablet in front of him was the so-called Chaos Stone Tablet. The reason why he did not devour it was very simple. He had already devoured the non-elemental Chaos Stone Tablet. No matter what the grade of the non-elemental Chaos Stone Tablet was, it was very compatible with him. Even if he was cheated by the non-elemental Chaos Stone Tablet in the future, he would not complain at all. Even if he didn't devour it, it didn't mean that Longao wouldn't take it away. He was very clear on what the primal Chaos Stone Tablet meant. Since the Chaos Tablet had been found by the Dragon Slayer, Longao had decided that if he could really take the Chaos Tablet away, he would give it to the Dragon Slayer. After all, Long Tu had become the ruler of the starry sky, so he was one of them. He began to observe carefully. With the help of the attributeless Primal Chaos Stone Tablet in the Primal Chaos Hall, Longao was certain that the black stone tablet in front of him was the so-called Primal Chaos Stone Tablet. It seemed that it was just as he had guessed. There were many Primal Chaos Stone Tablets in the vast universe, and it wasn't just these Primal Chaos Stone Tablets that had appeared. He smiled. Longao was very excited. He was so excited that his body was trembling. Now that his side had obtained another Primal Chaos Steel, it meant that his side had gained yet another ruler of space. Longao knew his own limit. However, he was extremely confident because he had the attributeless Primal Chaos Stone Tablet in the Primal Chaos Hall. Previously, he had tested it many times. The attributeless primal chaos stone tablet that he had obtained was probably of a very high grade and could suppress other primal chaos stone tablet. Instantly, within the primal chaos hall within Longao's body, a black stone tablet floated out. It was the attributeless primal chaos stone tablet. It was just as Longao had guessed. His attributeless primal chaos stone tablet completely suppressed the black stone tablet in front of him. If that was the case, he could confirm that the black stone tablet in front of him was indeed the legendary primal chaos stone tablet. Through his attributeless primal chaos stone tablet, Longao already knew that the primal chaos stone tablet in front of him was of the mystical dragon attribute. It was the so-called mystical dragon primal chaos stone tablet. If the dragon slayer devoured the mystical dragon primal chaos stone tablet, then it would definitely complement each other. He took a deep breath. Longao did not hesitate. He immediately used the attributeless primal chaos stone tablet to forcefully devour the mystical dragon primal chaos stone tablet in front of him. Although he was very confident in the primal chaos hall and the attributeless primal chaos stone tablet, this matter was not completely foolproof. If he could not devour the primal chaos stone tablet, then things would be troublesome. However, Longao was still a little too worried. In a short few minutes, the primal chaos stone tablet that the dragon slayer had been unable to move was forcefully moved. It disappeared from where it was and returned to Longao's primal chaos hall. His heart was filled with joy. Longao was very excited. The last bit of worry in his heart had disappeared without a trace. Now that he had settled the mystical dragon primal chaos stone tablet, the next step was to leave the dragon tomb space. As for Yu Bubi's life or death, he could no longer care about it. This was because he was very clear that he had no control over the current situation. If his luck was good, then Yu Bubi would definitely not be able to escape the trap set by the dragon slayer and would definitely die. If his luck was bad, then he could not blame anyone. It would just be that Yu Bubi's life was not meant to end. In this case, he could only think of a way to get rid of Yu Bubi in the future. Longao successfully left the dragon tomb space. Under the siege of the 12 starry sky powerhouses, he still managed to leave without a hitch. The 12 of them were extremely worried. This was because, according to their previous guess, Longao and the Dragon Emperor had both entered the Dragon Tomb Forbidden Grounds. The Dragon Emperor would definitely be able to kill Longao. However, in the end, Longao had already left peacefully. The Dragon Emperor had yet to appear. Nothing could have happened to the Dragon Emperor. However, although they were worried, the 12 of them could not do anything. This was because they could not step into the Dragon Tomb space. They could only stand outside the Dragon Tomb space. Time passed bit by bit. After dozens of days, Yu Bubi ran out of the Dragon Tomb space in a very sorry state. Moreover, he had suffered heavy injuries. Seeing this situation, the 12 of them were shocked. They did not know what had happened to the Dragon Emperor. Dragon Emperor, what's going on? The 12 of them were all talking at once. Yu Bubi was a little troubled. However, at this time, he did not even want to say a word. This was simply a great humiliation. He was originally full of confidence to kill Longao and kill 2 birds with 1 stone. However, he never thought that he would be tricked by Longao and the Dragon Slayer. He almost died in the Dragon Tomb space. Fortunately, he was lucky and strong. Otherwise, he would have definitely died this time. Even so, until now, Yu Bubi was still a little scared. Thinking about it made him furious. Chapter 2561. The more he thought about it, the angrier he got. The more he thought about it, the more he wanted to kill Longao and Dragon Slayer. Yu Bubi had never expected that this would be the outcome of the Dragon's Tomb. He was almost certain that Longao had come prepared when he stepped into the Dragon Tomb space this time. According to the situation, Even if he could step into the dragon tomb space again, it would be of no use. Especially the battle with Longao, it completely shocked Ububi. Ububi was very afraid of Longao's talent and strength, because he knew very well that Longao's current strength was enough to fight against him. If Longao continued to break through his current realm, wouldn't it be more troublesome? With Longao's talent, it was impossible for him to stop at this level. If Longao's cultivation broke through the limit of Starry Sky Immortal or even half-step Starry Sky Dominator, what should he do? He was very afraid. After thinking about it, the most important thing now was to get rid of Longao and Dragon Slayer as soon as possible. Longao, who had successfully obtained the Divine Dragon Chaos Tablet, returned to the Soaring Dragon Empire as soon as possible. He knew very well what the Divine Dragon Chaos Tablet meant. Soaring Dragon Empire. Master, how was it? Dragon Slayer was very anxious and asked impatiently. Ever since he'd obtained the Black Stone Tablet countless years ago, Dragon Slayer had been wondering if the Black Stone Tablet he'd obtained was a Chaos Stone Tablet. How could Longao not know what Dragon Slayer was thinking? He smiled. Dragon Slayer, just as you guessed, the Black Tablet in the Dragon Tomb space is a Chaos Tablet. Its attribute is Divine Dragon, which is the Divine Dragon Chaos Tablet. Hearing Longao's words, Dragon Slayer was instantly pleasantly surprised. He was so excited that his body trembled a little. However, Dragon Slayer was more helpless and regretful because he didn't devour the Chaos Tablet that he had found with great difficulty. He didn't blame anyone but himself, who asked him to be unable to devour the Chaos Tablet for so many years. Even if he knew that the Black Tablet was the so-called Chaos Tablet, he could only helplessly do so. Longao smiled again. Dragon Slayer, let me ask you something. Would you be willing to devour the Divine Dragon Primal Chaos Tablet? Of course he was willing. If he didn't want to, then he must be out of his mind. Longao merely smiled because he was very well aware that it was impossible for Longao to allow him to devour the tablet. Even if he'd chosen to submit to Longao, it was still impossible. If it were anything else, it would be fine. Only the Primal Chaos Stone Tablet was a bit too nonsensical. Not to mention Longao, even if it was him, once he obtained the Primal Chaos Stone Tablet, he wouldn't give it to anyone. Devouring a Primal Chaos Tablet would allow one to become the ruler of the universe. Try asking, in the vast starry skies, who wouldn't be willing to devour a Primal Chaos Tablet and become the ruler of the starry skies? Seeing that Long Slayer did not agree, Longao already knew what Long Slayer was thinking. In the next second, a black light was released from the Primal Chaos Palace. Instantly, the Divine Dragon Primal Chaos Stone Tablet floated in front of Longao. A lifelike Divine Dragon was engraved on the black stone tablet. Master, what is the meaning of this? Looking at the floating tablet in front of Longao, Longao seemed to have guessed something. Even so, he still didn't quite believe it. You still don't know? He fiercely swallowed his saliva. Kneeling on the ground, Longao respectfully said, Master's great kindness, I will never forget it. I will never forget it in this lifetime. Nodding, Longao was always on his side. No matter who betrayed him, Longao wouldn't betray him. This was without a doubt. Longao, although you've devoured the tablet, you still have to keep the Empire. You can't let anything happen to the Empire. Of course, Longao knew the seriousness of the matter. The Empire was his master's bottom line. Even if something happened to his master, he couldn't let anything happen to the Empire. He was very worried. Longao's expression was very serious as he said, Master, no matter who comes under the Starry Skies ruler, as long as there aren't more than 3 half-step Starry Skies rulers, I can completely ignore them. Longao didn't speak. He just listened quietly. If the Starry Skies ruler comes, I'm afraid I won't be able to withstand it. How could Longao not know what Longao meant? If the Starry Skies ruler came, not to mention Long too, even he wouldn't be able to withstand it. However, he was very confident that the Starry Sky's ruler and the oracle wouldn't come looking for trouble in a short time. Long too, leave the Starry Sky's ruler to me. As for the others, I'll leave them to you. Remember, if anyone dares to come looking for trouble, no matter who it is, kill without mercy. Yes. Without any hesitation, Long too immediately devoured the tablet. He wasn't going to go into seclusion to cultivate. Instead, he was going to guard the Empire at all times. He couldn't let anything happen to the Empire. As for whether Yu Booby was alive or dead, Long too didn't ask. Longao didn't say either because they both knew that if nothing unexpected happened, the trap in the Dragon Tomb space wouldn't be able to kill Yu Booby. No matter what, their most important task was to lock onto the black tablet. As for killing Yu Booby, now wasn't the time. Whether they could succeed or not depended on their luck. In the courtyard, Longao lay quietly with Yu-in in his arms. "Brother Long, is there something bothering you?" Shaking his head, Longao replied with a smile, "No." No matter what happened, Longao wouldn't tell his family because he didn't want them to worry about him. As for Yu-in, in all these years, Longao had always felt very guilty. That was because back then, he was looked down upon by everyone. Only Yu-in had always stayed by his side. She never left his side, and they were together in life and death. Brother Long Yun-er has left the Empire for so many years. Sister Aoshue and mother have always been worried. If you have time, why don't you go out and look for Yun-er? What if something happened to Yun-er? Before Yu-in could finish her sentence, Longao waved his hand and said, "I know what I'm doing. Yun-er still needs training. If I hadn't experienced life and death back then, I wouldn't have been able to get to where I am now. Even so, Yun-er is still young. If we don't do anything and something happens to Yun-er, what are we going to do?" How could Longao not know about Yu-yin's worries? He believed that Aoshue and mother would be even more worried about Yun-er's safety. However, Longao wasn't prepared to interfere because he firmly believed that only through experience could one grow. Otherwise, Yun-er would never be able to grow. Seeing that Longao wasn't speaking, Yu-in instantly understood what Longao meant. She sighed deeply in her heart. Now that things had come to this, she didn't know what else to say. Chapter 2562. In the Vast Starry Sky. With a boom, the entire vast starry sky shook. Just what had happened? The starry sky was boundless. No one knew just how big it was. Even so, some people had still heard the explosion. No one knew what had happened, but for it to cause such a huge commotion, it wasn't a simple matter. Longao, who was in the soaring dragon plane, had also heard the explosion. He was shocked. Other than Xiling, the others were still in seclusion. No one had come out. "Longao, do you know what's going on?" He nodded. Longao looked at the distant starry sky. He couldn't quite believe it. "Xiling, you should remember that the God Diviner sealed a primal chaos rock." Could it be the primal chaos rock? Xiling seemed to have guessed something. He was shocked. Whether it was Longao or Xiling, they both knew what the primal chaos rock meant. It was different from the other rulers of the starry sky. It had already grasped primal chaos energy. Its strength was even greater than the God Diviner's. As for whether or not the primal chaos rock had devoured the primal chaos tablet, that was still unknown. It was just as Longao had guessed. The God Diviner had sealed the primal chaos rock for countless years, but its injuries hadn't healed in the slightest. In fact, it had been sealed this entire time. This time, the primal chaos rock had been able to break out of the seal thanks to Longao. Had Longao done it on purpose? Or was it unintentional? Perhaps only the primal chaos rock and Longao knew this. However, although the primal chaos rock had broken out of the seal, its injuries were still very heavy. Let alone the God Diviner, even the others could easily deal with it. The Martial Heaven Continent. The current Martial Heaven Continent was in a sorry state. There were countless casualties. Although the primal Chaos Rock was still heavily injured, its strength was still there. When it had broken out of the seal, it had almost destroyed the entire continent. In the end, the God Diviner had managed to protect the Martial Heaven Continent. In the outer starry sky, within the Crystal Palace, the God Diviner's expression was gloomy and ugly. He had never imagined that the primal Chaos Rock would be able to break out of the seal. After all, he had been completely confident in his seal. Yigudu was also furious. Of course, he knew what it meant for the primordial rock to break out of the seal. All these years, his father had always hoped to borrow the power of the primal Chaos Rock to control the primal Chaos Stone Tablet. But what was the result? As the primordial rock broke out of the seal, everything became nonsense. Father, I've already ordered everyone to help us lock onto the primordial rock's position. It was already too late. In fact, Yigudu knew very well that it was too late to lock onto it now. If nothing unexpected happened, the primordial rock would definitely find a place to recover from its injuries after breaking out of the seal. If the chaotic giant rock refused to appear, it would be impossible for them to lock onto its position. Even his father was unable to deduce the location of the primordial rock. Master God Diviner's face grew darker and darker. The primal Chaos Rock must have gone into hiding. I believe that it won't be long before this matter spreads throughout the vast starry sky. Dugu, come with me. Yigudu was very curious to see his father leave, but he didn't dare to ask. He knew that his father was definitely furious right now. It was best not to throw himself at the muzzle of a spear. That would be courting death. Yigudu didn't dare to ask. Just like that, he followed Master God Diviner out of the Crystal Palace and the Martial Heaven Continent. The two of them were extremely fast. In just a few minutes, they crossed the starry sky and arrived at the number 1 Cosmic Empire. Bai Jing, Bai Hua, and the 3 eagles were shocked to see the 2 rulers of the starry sky suddenly descend. They didn't know why the 2 rulers of the starry sky had suddenly descended. Bai Jing, immediately notify the half-step rulers of the other 8 cosmic empires. Tell them to come here as soon as possible. If they don't come in a day, kill them without mercy. Bai Jing and the others seemed to have guessed something. It seemed that the shaking of the starry sky was related to Master God Diviner and Master God Diviner. However, they didn't dare to ask. Yes? Although a ruler of the starry sky couldn't completely destroy a half-step ruler, suppressing one was as easy as flipping a hand. It would be a lie to say that they weren't afraid. Not daring to hesitate, Bai Jing and the others immediately spread out to the other 8 half-step rulers, as well as various peak starry sky immortals and starry sky immortals. With their speed, it wouldn't even take a day for them to arrive. If it had been anyone else, they wouldn't have dared to summon all the experts of the 9 cosmic empires. Only Master God Diviner and Yigudu dared not to come. One by one, they rushed to the number 1 cosmic empire. No one knew what had happened. They didn't know why Master God Diviner and Master God Diviner had summoned them. It seemed that it had something to do with the shaking of the starry sky. A few short hours later, all the half-step rulers, Peak Starry Sky Immortals, Peak Starry Sky Legends, and Starry Sky Almighties of the Dragon Race's 9 cosmic empires were gathered in the Grand Hall of the number 1 cosmic empire. This was the peak of the human race's power. Not only that, but all the experts of the Peak Dragon Race, the Peak Mouse Race, the Peak Underworld Race, and even the Peak Massacre Race were also gathered in the hall. Among the 6 peak races, only the Peak Mysterious Race was absent. Even Master God Diviner couldn't do anything to the Peak Mysterious Race, because he couldn't calculate the location of the Peak Mysterious Race. Let's cut to the chase. I have gathered all of you here mainly because the chaotic giant rock that I sealed back then has broken out of the seal. This chaotic giant rock is severely injured. Hence, all of you only have one task now. No matter what, you have to find this chaotic giant rock for me. As for the matters in your hands, put them all down. As the starry sky ruler, Master God Diviner's strength and deterrence were there. No one dared to disobey him. After all, if Master God Diviner wanted to, he could destroy them at any time. Even the 9 half-step rulers didn't dare to disobey him. No one even dared to ask what had happened. However, looking at the expression on Master God Diviner's face, they already knew that this matter was not simple. Otherwise, Master God Diviner wouldn't be so anxious. What was the origin of the primordial rock? Since it could make Master God Diviner so anxious and sealed for so many years, everyone seemed to have guessed something. Chapter 2563. For the Master God Diviner to be so anxious and angry, it seemed that the primal chaos rock was not simple. Could it be that the primal chaos rock could threaten the Master God Diviner? Unbelievable. It was simply inconceivable. After receiving the mission, everyone left the first plane and began a thorough search of the vast starry sky. The Master God Diviner and Yi Dugu naturally did not remain in the first plane. They returned to the Martial Heaven continent. The Master God Diviner was confident that unless someone could become a ruler of the starry sky, no one would dare to go against his orders unless they were courting death. The Master God Diviner's summons had attracted almost 80% of the starry sky's experts. What kind of concept was that? This was a gathering of rulers of the starry sky. If it had been anyone else, no matter who it was, they would not have been able to do this. Even the 9 half-step rulers of the starry sky would not have been able to gather them. This was the power and deterrence of a ruler of the starry sky. It was terrifying. As everyone searched for the primal chaos rock's location, the entire starry sky knew about it. Everyone turned pale with fright. This had never happened in so many years. It shocked the starry sky. Soon, Longao and Xiling, who were in the Soaring Dragon Empire, also learned of this matter. They were not the least bit surprised, because they had already guessed this before. Longao, tell me the truth. Does the primal chaos rock, breaking out of the seal, have anything to do with you? Longao smiled. It seems my guess was right. It does have something to do with you. Xiling knew Longao's character too well. If it hadn't been for Longao's previous incident, how could the primal chaos rock have broken out of the seal for no reason? After all, the Master God Diviner had sealed it for so many years. It had been fine all along, but something had happened to Longao when he had entered the sealed land. Longao did not hide much from Xiling. He roughly told him what had happened. So it turned out, when Longao had entered the sealed land, he had talked a lot with the primal chaos rock. In the end, Longao and the primal chaos rock had chosen to form an alliance. However, Longao knew that this matter had to be done in secret. Otherwise, if the Master God Diviner found out, he would definitely be in trouble. After thinking about it, Longao and the primal chaos rock had put on such a show. The two of them seemed to be at odds with each other, but they chose to form an alliance in secret. Longao secretly helped the primal chaos rock break out of the seal. After waiting for so long, the primal chaos rock could not wait any longer. In the end, it chose to break the seal. I see. Xiling also sighed endlessly because in the entire vast starry sky, the only person who dared to play tricks under the eyes of the divine mathematician was probably Longao alone. If Master God Diviner found out about this, he wondered what Master God Diviner would do. Most likely, Master God Diviner would be infuriated. Xiling, the clairvoyant, is too strong. We can't deal with him on our own. You want to deal with the oracle? He nodded. I don't know whether he's a friend or a foe, but I have a hunch that he's up to no good. We'd better prepare as soon as possible. Otherwise, if something happens in the future, we won't even have a chance to fight back. Dragon Ao was very afraid of Master God Diviner, because he was too strong. He had single-handedly directed the reincarnation war, and if it weren't for the fact that Master God Diviner wanted primal chaos power, the other 11 rulers of the starry sky, including Violet Spirit, would probably still be sealed or reincarnated. They could not be careless with such a strong opponent. Regarding Longao's meaning, how could Purple Spirit not know? As the saying goes, caution is the parent of safety. Back then, they had been fooled by the oracle because they had not been careful. They had almost been doomed eternally. Fortunately, Longao's appearance made things take a turn for the better. Longao, you should know the location of the primal chaos rock, right? He nodded. I made an agreement with the primal chaos rock. When he broke out of the seal, he would enter the plane we had designated. But for the time being, the primal chaos rock should not appear. After all, he was seriously injured. If he appeared at this time, not to mention the oracle, even an ordinary starry sky cultivator could easily destroy the primal chaos rock. I see. What are you going to do next? Violet Spirit was well aware of the current situation. She was certain that Master God Diviner was enraged by the fact that the primal chaos rock had broken out of the sealing mark. If Master God Diviner found out about this, he would definitely go on a killing spree. This matter had to be dealt with properly. They could not afford to make a single mistake. Longao also knew the seriousness of the matter, so he could not let the oracle know about it. One mistake would lead to many mistakes. They could not afford to make the slightest mistake. After thinking for a while, Longao said, I will go to the plane later and see what's going on with the primal chaos rock. No matter what happens, nothing can happen to the primal chaos rock. Otherwise, no one can control the oracle. The reason why he had chosen to ally with the primal chaos rock was to let the primal chaos rock control the oracle. If the primal chaos rock was sealed by the oracle again, then everything he had done would be in vain. Since things had come to this, Xiling did not say anything more. After all, if the primal chaos rock could control the oracle, then it might not be a bad thing. Longao did not immediately go to find the primal chaos rock. After all, in the vast starry sky, everyone was looking for the primal chaos rock. If he was unlucky and was discovered, then he would be in big trouble. The vast starry sky was changing. Everyone was searching inch by inch. Everyone was curious about the primal chaos rock. They did not know the origin of the primal chaos rock. How could it make the oracle so anxious? It was easy to guess what was going on. Now, 5 of the 6 major races had all intervened in this matter, except for the Peak Mysterious race. That level of power was enough to wipe out any person or group in the starry sky. Every realm, every plane, every sect, and every empire was in danger. After all, no one could be sure that Master God Diviner wouldn't go on a killing spree, and no one wanted to be caught in the crossfire. In the blink of an eye. 3 months passed in the blink of an eye. Until now, no one had been able to locate the primal chaos rock. After all, it was too difficult. The vast starry sky was boundless, and no one knew how big it was. Even the starry sky ruler could not locate the primal chaos rock, let alone the starry sky ruler, who was known to be able to calculate everything. As time went by, many people chose to give up. As long as the primal chaos rock did not take the initiative to appear, it was impossible to locate it. It was like looking for a needle in a haystack. Chapter 2564. Some people chose to give up, while others chose to continue. There were still countless people searching for the primal chaos rock. Finding the primal chaos rock in the vast starry sky was easier said than done. Time slowly passed. The god diviner grew more and more anxious. The longer this matter was delayed, the worse it would be for him. No one knew when the primal chaos rock would recover. At that time, even he wouldn't be able to suppress it. He had to find the primal chaos rock as quickly as possible. Other than having others search for the primal chaos rock, the god diviner was also constantly calculating its location. The Martial Heaven continent. In the outer sea within the Crystal Palace, Master God Diviner cursed angrily, his anger reaching its peak. Father, don't be anxious. How can I not be anxious? Yudugu was a bit helpless. He had never seen his father like this in countless years. If he hadn't seen it with his own eyes, he would have found it hard to believe. As for the God Diviner, he was extremely anxious. If he could grasp the primal chaos energy within the primal chaos steel, then he would definitely be able to lock onto the primal chaos rock's location. But now, the situation was special. Before he could grasp the primal chaos energy within the primal chaos steel, there were many things that many people couldn't calculate. That was the key. It seems our guess was correct. After the primal chaos rock broke out of the seal, it chose to hide. This is troublesome. Yudugu shrugged helplessly. At this point, he was also a bit helpless. He didn't know what to say. It seems I'll have to find the other rulers of the starry sky. What? Yudugu was shocked. He had never imagined that his father would think of such a method. Yudugu naturally knew what it meant for his father to go find the other rulers of the starry sky. After all, countless years ago, it was because of his father that the other rulers of the starry sky had almost died. If his father hadn't wanted primal chaos energy, the other rulers of the starry sky would probably have been sealed or reincarnated. Father, the other rulers of the starry sky probably won't agree to this. How could the God Diviner not know what his son was thinking? He chuckled. If they refine the primal chaos steel again, perhaps I won't be able to do anything. But now, it was just as the God Diviner had said. The other rulers of the starry sky wouldn't dare to go against his will. After all, with his current strength, if he truly wanted to deal with someone, he could suppress and seal that person. A year passed by quietly. After waiting for more than a year, Longao finally left the Soaring Dragon Empire. Back then, the Chaotic Giant Rock and Longao had an agreement. When the Chaotic Giant Rock broke out of the seal, it would immediately find the agreed-upon plane and settle down temporarily. The plane that the Chaotic Dapeng and Longao had agreed on was only a low-level plane. Moreover, it was a low-level plane where people came and went. It was a very secluded plane. Low-level planes. Xiling had already told Longao that the Chaos Giant Rock had broken out of the seal and might not enter the plane as promised. But what was the result? Longao still firmly believed that the primordial rock was not that kind of person. After entering the low-level plane, Longao began to lock onto the Chaos Rock's position. Although the space in a low-level plane was limited, as long as the Chaos Great Rock deliberately hid its aura, even the Starry Sky ruler would not be able to locate it, let alone himself. Longao. Just as Longao continued to lock onto the Chaos Great Rock's position, the Chaos Great Rock's voice suddenly sounded in his mind. He was immediately overjoyed. It seemed that he had not misjudged the Chaos Great Rock chose to believe in him. However, after thinking about it, he felt relieved. In any case, the Chaos Great Rock could break out of the seal because of him. If he had not secretly intervened, who knew when it would be able to break out of the seal? In a huge cave. As soon as Longao stepped into the cave, the Chaos Great Rock said in surprise, "Longao, it's so good to see you. If it weren't for you this time, I wouldn't have been able to break out of the seal. Thank you." He shrugged indifferently. Longao said with a smile, "It's just a small matter. But Chaos Great Rock, I won't hide it from you. The reason why I helped you this time is that I want to rely on your strength to restrain the marvelous mathematician, because the marvelous mathematician will definitely deal with me in the future." Hearing Longao's words, the Chaos Great Rock was not angry at all. Instead, he smiled. If Longao had not told the truth, the Chaos Great Rock might have been on guard. However, the Chaos Great Rock was relieved when Longao told the truth. Everyone had their own selfish motives. Longao was also a human. Of course, he was selfish. It was because of this that the Chaos Great Rock dared to make an agreement with Longao. "Longao, this is not difficult for me. If I can recover from my injuries, I will definitely help you suppress the marvelous mathematician. If possible, I can even help you kill him." "With your strength, you can't kill the marvelous mathematician?" Longao was very curious. The marvelous mathematician had said that even with his strength, he was not a match for the Chaos Great Rock. According to this situation, the Chaos Great Rock should be able to kill the marvelous mathematician. But what was the result? The Chaos Great Rock smiled helplessly and said, "Longao, to be honest, although I have mastered the power of primal chaos, I cannot kill the marvelous mathematician. If the marvelous mathematician did not have a primal chaos tablet, I could easily kill him." It was a bit ridiculous. If the marvelous mathematician did not have a primal chaos tablet, he would not be the ruler of the stars. Longao did not continue to dwell on this issue. He knew very well that if the Chaos Great Rock was confident in killing the marvelous mathematician, it would not refuse. After all, even if he was not present, the Chaos Great Rock would not hesitate to kill the marvelous mathematician if the opportunity arose. The enmity between the Chaos Great Rock and the marvelous mathematician had reached a point where they would not rest until one of them was dead. Both the marvelous mathematician and the Chaos Great Rock could not wait to kill each other. "How are your injuries, Chaos Great Rock?" The Chaos Great Rock's injuries were the key. Longao knew that even if the Chaos Great Rock could not kill the marvelous mathematician, it could still pin him down. This was a very good thing for him. How could the Chaos Great Rock not understand Longao's intentions? The primal Chaos Great Rock sighed and said, "Longao, my injuries can't be healed. Back then, I injured my foundation. Otherwise, Master God Diviner wouldn't have sealed me for so many years." Could not be healed? What did that mean? Chapter 2565. Longao certainly knew what it meant if he couldn't recover. Chaos Dapeng couldn't kill the clairvoyant at his peak, let alone in a state where he couldn't recover. "Chaos Dapeng, I can help you. Thank you." Chaos Dapeng didn't say much. Since things had already come to this, he didn't have any hope. He just hoped that his injuries could be healed. The primal Chaos Rock was well aware of its injuries. Not to mention Longao, even the Starry Sky Dominator who had mastered the power of chaos might not be able to help him recover. He was helpless. "Longao, I can't help you contain the clairvoyant for the time being. You should know about my injuries." "I understand. According to my current situation, I can probably recover about 60 to 70%, so, at this point, the primal Chaos Rock did not continue speaking, but the meaning of its words was very clear. Longao was not a fool. Of course, he could understand the meaning of Chaos Dapeng's words. He smiled. "Chaos Dapeng, since you and I have formed an alliance, we will live and die together. Our common enemy is the clairvoyant." Before Chaos Dapeng could speak, Longao continued, "Chaos Dapeng, you are not safe here. If you are found by others or the clairvoyant, you will be in danger." How could the primordial rock not know about this? However, the vast starry sky was full of the clairvoyant's people. No matter where he went, there was a possibility of being found. After thinking about it, I decided to let you enter my empire to cultivate and recover. In this way, Even if you are found, my empire and I will stand in front of you. He was very touched. Chaos Dupeng could clearly feel that Longao was sincere. Chaos Dupeng didn't refuse. He immediately followed Longao and quietly left the low-level plane, heading for the soaring dragon empire. But the result? If one's luck was still bad, he would be stuck in cold water. When Longao and Chaos Dupeng rushed to the soaring dragon empire, they were discovered by Lin Han and Wang Tao, and the two sides fought. Lin Han and Wang Tao were the peak Starry Sky immortals of the Second Starry Sky Empire. If Chaos Dupeng was at his peak, he would definitely ignore them. However, the current situation was very special. Longao had to fight the two of them while protecting the chaotic giant rock at the same time. He was a little powerless. No matter what, the chaotic giant rock was severely injured. It was no match for the two of them. However, Longao was no longer the same as before. Spatial teleportation had long transformed into temporal teleportation, and his speed had taken a qualitative leap. Longao left with the chaotic giant rock without a hitch. Lin Han and Wang Tao didn't hesitate at all. Of course, they knew what the chaotic giant rock meant. It was the space mythological beast that the marvelous mathematician was looking for. Who would dare to be careless? However, the two of them were unable to find the oracle, so they could only report this matter to Zhuge Ming. Zhuge Ming was overjoyed. Following Zhuge Ming's announcement, Master God Diviner and everyone else knew about it. Longao locked onto the primal chaos rock and protected it. What did this mean? Many people chose not to believe it. Even Master God Diviner was skeptical because he couldn't figure out whether this was true or not. Master God Diviner certainly knew that Longao didn't know about his relationship with the chaotic giant rock. If Longao did so, wouldn't it mean that he was provoking him? With Longao's current strength, how could he walk into the tiger's mouth and court his own death? The main reason why Master God Diviner was skeptical was that Zhuge Ming, Lin Han, and Wang Tao had reported it. Everyone knew that the Second Starry Sky Empire and Longao had a grudge against each other. It wouldn't be an exaggeration to say that they would fight to the death. It wasn't impossible for the Second Starry Sky Empire to kill someone with a borrowed knife. Master God Diviner didn't rashly choose to believe it, but he also didn't decisively choose not to believe it. He still wanted to see for himself what was going on. If it were anyone else, he would have killed them regardless of whether they were provoking him or not. Longao was the only one the divine mathematician couldn't make a move on. He had always thought that Longao was a variable. Whether he was good or bad was still unknown. It was because of this unknown that the divine mathematician had been reluctant to make a move. Master God Diviner looked at the vast starry sky and found that not only could he not lock onto Longao's position, but he couldn't even lock onto the soaring Dragon Empire's position. If he had known this would happen, he wouldn't have let the soaring Dragon Empire go. But it was too late to regret now. Master God Diviner had been too confident in himself. He thought that with his divination ability, he could calculate the location of the soaring Dragon Empire. But he didn't expect that Longao would be a variable and the soaring Dragon Empire would also be a variable. He regretted it very much. Without being able to lock onto Longao, Master God Diviner couldn't be sure whether this was true or not. Could it be that he had to use the power of the entire starry sky to find Longao's position? If that was the case, Longao would definitely complain. When that time came, there would only be two possibilities. The first was that he would personally destroy the Longao and eliminate the root of the problem. The second was that he would lower himself, but that was a little unlikely. In this case, it was really a little difficult to deal with. The biggest reason why Master God Diviner didn't inform the entire starry sky was because he didn't want to fall out with Longao at this time. He always felt that Longao was a variable, and this variable was beneficial to him. Otherwise, with his identity, how could he endure it again and again? Longao ignored the two's discovery and directly returned to the soaring dragon empire with the primal chaos rock. He had already thought about this matter. Even if the matter between him and the primal chaos rock was known by Master God Diviner, he would fall out with him. Some things could be compromised, but some things couldn't be compromised. Soaring Dragon Empire. After settling the primal chaos rock, Longao immediately found Xiling and told her about the matter. Xiling's face was very serious. Of course, she knew what this meant. If Master God Diviner really chose to believe it, then things would be very troublesome. At that time, Master God Diviner would definitely think that Longao had premeditated this. With Master God Diviner's strength, dealing with Longao and the Soaring Dragon Empire was more than enough. Even if Longao had the Primal Chaos Palace and could ignore Master God Diviner, what about the Soaring Dragon Empire? Longao's biggest worry was still Master God Diviner. After all, everything had a chance. If Master God Diviner locked onto the Soaring Dragon Empire, then no one could stop him. At this moment, in the entire Soaring Dragon Empire, no one could refine the Primal Chaos Tablet and become the ruler of the starry sky. Chapter 2566. Longao, what do you plan to do next? Longao certainly knew what Xiling meant. The situation was very serious. It was better to be safe than sorry. If the clairvoyant master really believed this, then even with the Chaos Palace, he could only protect himself and not the Empire. Especially with the clairvoyant master's strength, no one could contend against him in a direct confrontation, let alone a sneak attack. How could Longao not be annoyed in such a situation? I'll take it one step at a time. That was all he could do now. Xiling shrugged helplessly because she had no good way to deal with the current situation. According to the two of them, if the clairvoyant master really believed Lin Han and Wang Tao, he would definitely announce it to the vast starry sky and locate them. But what was the result? 10 days passed and the vast starry sky was still silent. Could it be that the clairvoyant master didn't believe it? Or maybe Lin Han and Wang Tao didn't tell the clairvoyant master at all. In other words, the clairvoyant master didn't know about it. Even so, Longao didn't relax in the slightest. He knew very well that he couldn't be careless about this matter. Otherwise, he and his family would be doomed eternally. The situation was critical. He could only wait. 9 great starry sky empires, 9 half-step starry sky rulers. The 9 of them gathered in the grand hall of the first plane. Everyone's expression was very solemn. It was impossible for the 9 of them to gather together unless there was something particularly important. Bai Jing half-step starry sky ruler of the first starry sky empire, Zhuge Ming half-step starry sky ruler of the second starry sky empire, Gongsun He half-step starry sky ruler of the third starry sky empire, Lu Feng half-step starry sky ruler of the fourth starry sky empire, Zhou Bolai half-step starry sky ruler of the fifth starry sky empire, Lu Mu half-step starry sky ruler of the sixth starry sky empire, Kong Xiao half-step starry sky ruler of the seventh starry sky empire, Fang Buping half-step starry sky ruler of the 8th starry sky empire, and Wei Bujing half-step starry sky ruler of the 9th starry sky empire. Bai Jing looked at Zhuge Ming and said, "Brother Zhuge, is what Lin Han and Wang Tao said true?" Until now, the clairvoyant master still hadn't made the slightest move. The 9 of them were completely confused and didn't know what was going on. Zhuge Ming nodded and said, "I believe they won't lie. As for why the clairvoyant master still hasn't made a move, I don't know." Not to mention Zhuge Ming and Bai Jing, the others were also puzzled. Judging from what had happened before, Master God Diviner clearly valued the primordial rock. But what was the result? Although he had already found the primordial rock, the God Diviner still didn't move. What was the meaning of this? He couldn't figure it out. He really couldn't figure it out. At this moment, Gong's son, he said coldly, I heard that Longao came from the martial heaven continent. If it hadn't been for Master God Diviner's protection, he would have been killed by the other rulers of the universe. Hearing this, the other 8 people were extremely shocked. For so many years, Longao's identity had always been a mystery. No matter how hard they tried, they couldn't find anything. So Longao came from the martial heaven continent. If that was the case, then things had become a bit complicated. Gong's son He, do you know the relationship between Longao and the clairvoyant? It's hard to say. Of course, Gong's son He didn't know. It was just a wild guess. However, Gong's son He knew that the enmity between him and Longao had reached a point where one of them had to die. Among the 9 people, he wanted Longao dead the most. Thinking about it, Gong's son He continued, according to my guess, Longao is just a chess piece of Master God Diviner. Chess piece? That was very reasonable. Brother Gong's son, in your opinion, why isn't Master God Diviner willing to make a move? Even Gong's son He didn't know the reason. Under normal circumstances, since Master God Diviner knew that the primordial rock had been taken away by Longao, he would definitely make a move. But in the end, Master God Diviner was still unwilling to make a move. The reason was very suspicious. Since things had already come to this, Gong's son He naturally wouldn't choose to give up. He made up a story. I think that the biggest reason Master God Diviner is still unwilling to make a move is that he doesn't believe Lin Han and Wang Tao. The 8 people thought about it and nodded in agreement. After thinking about it, there seemed to be only one possibility. We have to think of a way to make Master God Diviner believe that the primordial rock was taken away by Longao. If this matter spread out, the 9 people would probably become a joke. As dignified half-step Starry Sky rulers, 9 half-step Starry Sky rulers were actually discussing how to get rid of Longao. It was a complete joke. If Longao was a half-step Starry Sky ruler, it would be fine. However, it turned out that Longao was only a Starry Sky immortal. He hadn't even reached the peak Starry Sky immortal realm, let alone a half-step Starry Sky ruler. 9 half-step Starry Sky rulers joining forces couldn't deal with a Starry Sky immortal realm cultivator. It was really a joke. However, they were helpless to the extreme. Over the years, they had tried countless times. If it was a head-on confrontation, none of them would be afraid of Longao. They believed that any one of them could easily destroy Longao. However, the problem now was that although Longao's strength wasn't very good, he had a heaven-defying Starry Sky Divine tool. Even they couldn't lock the location of this heaven-defying Starry Sky Divine tool. Anyway, they would lose face. If they could smoothly kill Longao, they might be able to save some face. However, the 9 people weren't fools. They knew very well that they couldn't deal with Longao alone. If that was the case, they might as well take advantage of this opportunity to kill Longao with a borrowed knife. They could then use Master God Diviner's strength to eliminate Longao. Tell me, what should we do to make Master God Diviner believe this? Everyone shrugged helplessly. The situation was very troublesome because Lin Han and Wang Tao's words weren't enough to make Master God Diviner believe them. Master God Diviner might not believe them either. While the 9 people were discussing how to deal with Longao, suddenly, in the vast starry sky, there was a rumor that someone had seen the legendary chaotic giant rock. The 9 people who received the news were all shocked because they knew that Longao would slowly leave with the chaotic giant rock. If nothing unexpected happened, the 2 of them would definitely choose to hide. However, with the appearance of the chaotic giant rock, they didn't know what was going on. Was Longao provoking Master God Diviner? This was complete nonsense. Even if Longao was given 10,000 guts, they believed that Longao wouldn't dare to provoke Master God Diviner. After all, in the vast starry sky, the Starry Sky ruler was an invincible existence. Unless Longao was courting death, he would never dare to provoke Master God Diviner casually. Chapter 2567. The image of the primal chaos rock continued to appear in the starry sky. The 9 of them began to wonder if Lin Han and Wang Tao's words were true. In the end, in order to ensure that the news was reliable, they could only find Lin Han and Wang Tao and ask them for a clear explanation. Lin Han and Wang Tao didn't hesitate. They immediately swore blood oaths. Blood oaths had restrictions on everyone. If they still didn't believe it, then there was nothing they could do. Just like that, the 9 of them were almost certain that the primal chaos rock had been taken away by Longao. As for why there was news about the primal chaos rock in other places, they guessed that Longao had done it on purpose. The more Longao acted like this, the more the 9 of them believed it was true. What they believed was useless. The most important thing was that the God Diviner believed it. There was nothing they could do. The 9 of them hurried to the Martial Heaven continent. In the outer sea, within the Crystal Palace, the 9 of them immediately told the God Diviner what they were thinking. From beginning to end, the God Diviner didn't say a word. Even now, he still didn't know whether this was true or not. After that, the 9 of them didn't say anything else. They were waiting to see what the God Diviner would do. They had no idea what the relationship between the Longao and the God Diviner was. If the Longao was just a chess piece, then the God Diviner would definitely kill the Longao for the sake of the primal chaos rock. What if the Longao wasn't a chess piece? If the Longao wasn't a chess piece, then things would be troublesome. After an unknown amount of time, the God Diviner suddenly looked at the 9 of them and asked, "Are you sure this is true?" "Yes." The 9 of them answered in unison. The 9 people weren't fools. They looked at the expression on the divine mathematician's face. They knew that Gong's son he was right. Longao was indeed a pawn of the divine mathematician. If that was the case, then things would be very good. Borrowing a knife to kill someone. The 9 of them were well aware of Master God Diviner's strength. If Master God Diviner really made a move, then even if Longao had 3 heads and 6 arms, and even if he had a heaven-defying starry sky divine weapon, Longao would still be doomed. Of course, the 9 of them had no idea how heaven-defying Longao's heaven-defying starry sky god item was. Not even Master God Diviner would necessarily be able to lock onto that item in Longao's possession. If this is false, I will forcibly suppress you all. Huh? When they heard Master God Diviner's words, the 9 of them were completely shocked. Never in their wildest dreams could they have imagined that Master God Diviner would say something like that. If it were anyone else, the 9 of them would have chosen to ignore them. In the vast starry sky, they only feared the starry sky ruler. As for others, they weren't even ants in their eyes. Only the ruler of the starry sky and Master Clairvoyant did. The 9 of them were very afraid of Master God Diviner, and were well aware that, although he couldn't kill them, he could easily crush them. There was little difference between being suppressed and dying. The 9 of them, who had been full of confidence, instantly fell silent. It wasn't that they didn't believe Lin Han and Wang Tao. No matter what, the 2 of them had already sworn a blood oath. However, there was always a possibility. If the 2 of them were wrong, or if they made a mistake in the process, then things would really get troublesome. Humph! Master God Diviner snorted coldly, and said in a seemingly displeased tone, "You don't even dare to believe yourselves, yet you're shamelessly boasting that it was Longao who did it. Look behind you." Right at this moment, with a burst of laughter, Longao walked in from outside. The figure who walked in was none other than Longao. The 9 of them were a little dumbfounded. According to their speculation, if this was true, then Longao would never come to them even if he was beaten to death. He should have hidden away with the primordial rock. Could it be that Lin Han and Wang Tao were really lying? What was going on? The 9 of them were indeed confused. However, after thinking about it, the 9 of them still chose to believe Lin Han and Wang Tao. Because in their opinion, The reason why Longao was like this might be because he was playing the game of, how can one obtain a tiger cub without entering the tiger's den? Longao, they said that you teamed up with the primordial rock. Let me ask you, is this true? No. Longao was worried about this, so he risked his life to come here. If Master God Diviner didn't believe him, then this matter would be over. If Master God Diviner believed him, then he would have to completely fall out with him. The biggest reason why Longao dared to come here was because he had the primordial Chaos Palace. Otherwise, even if Longao was given 10,000 guts, he wouldn't dare to come here so rashly. Longao was ready to see what Master God Diviner would do. However, Gong's son he snorted coldly and said with a cold smile, Longao, you, Lin Han, and Wang Tao have already fought. The two of them discovered the blood oath and saw you leave with the primordial rock. Are you still going to deny it? Kill with a borrowed knife. 4 simple words. Longao didn't say anything else because he was very clear about the current situation. The more he spoke, the more unfavorable it would be for him. The 9 of them were very angry. How could they not know what Longao was thinking? Gong's son he couldn't wait and said, Lin Han and Wang Tao have already made a blood oath. Longao, if you want to prove your innocence, why don't you also make a blood oath? As long as you are willing to make a blood oath, we will choose to believe you. Under normal circumstances, Master God Diviner would definitely stop Gong's son, as long as he said this. After all, a blood oath couldn't be made casually. It was extremely distrustful of a person. However, Master God Diviner didn't stop him from beginning to end. Longao was very clear about what that meant. If he really did make a blood oath, it would be very disadvantageous for him. If he didn't make a blood oath, Master God Diviner would definitely suspect him. He had no choice but to admit that this move was very ruthless. Looking at Longao, the 9 people sneered in their hearts. They wanted to see what Longao would do. They hoped that Longao wouldn't make a blood oath. That way, everyone would know that Longao was hiding the truth. In that case, there was no need to wait. They believed that Master God Diviner would make a move. How could Longao resist Master God Diviner with his strength alone? What would Longao choose? Would he choose to make a blood oath, or would he refuse? Master God Diviner was also staring at Longao. Whether or not this was true would be revealed soon. Could it be that Longao hadn't thought of this? That was impossible. Longao wasn't an idiot. If he had come here, then he must have thought of this result. Sneering in his heart, Longao's expression was indifferent. He nodded and made the blood oath. Seeing this, the 9 people were completely dumbfounded. If Longao hadn't made a blood oath, then they definitely wouldn't have believed him. But now, Chapter 2568. Even Master God Diviner was a bit surprised. If Longao had really sworn a blood oath, then this matter really had nothing to do with Longao. In truth, Master God Diviner was very willing to see the 9 of them have enmity with Longao. That way, both sides could restrain each other, which was very beneficial to him. Just like that, Longao had sworn a blood oath in front of everyone's eyes. The truth was right in front of them. Even if the 9 of them didn't believe it, the truth was the truth. Ha 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 ha. At this moment, Master God Diviner laughed. Longao, you don't need to swear a blood oath. I believe you. He sneered inside. Master God Diviner really was shameless. Before he had sworn a blood oath, Master God Diviner hadn't said he believed him. Now that he had sworn a blood oath, Master God Diviner was acting like this. However, Longao knew that now wasn't the time to shed all pretenses with Master God Diviner. He had to endure. Many thanks. I still have things to do, so I'll take my leave. Master God Diviner nodded and smiled. Take care. Longao did not continue to stay. Instead, he directly left the Outer Sea Crystal Palace. In a short while, he had already disappeared without a trace. The 9 of them looked at each other, seeing the helplessness in each other's eyes. They had never imagined that things would develop to this point. You can leave as well. Master God Diviner didn't pursue the matter. The 9 of them sighed with relief. They had truly been afraid that Master God Diviner would attack. They didn't dare to linger. They immediately turned and left. Once they left, Yidugu appeared. He gravely asked, "Father, does Longao's blood oath really have nothing to do with this matter?" "It shouldn't. Longao knows his own limit. If it has something to do with the primal chaos rock, then he's provoking us. Unless Longao's head is filled with water, there's no way he would do something like that." Since he had seen Longao swear a blood oath, Yidugu chose to believe him. After all, with his father's strength, there was no need for Longao to provoke him. Outside the martial heaven continent, Zhugeming, is what Lin Han and Wang Tao said true? The 8 of them felt helpless. Of course, they believed that Lin Han and Wang Tao could not have tricked the 9 of them. If that was the case, why would Longao dare to swear a blood oath? What was going on? No matter how he thought about it, he still couldn't figure it out. Lin Han and Wang Tao have already sworn a blood oath. Whether it's true or not, I don't need to say more. I believe you all know what it means. The 8 of them nodded simultaneously. After leaving the Outer Sea Crystal Palace, Longao did not hesitate at all. He rushed towards the Soaring Dragon Empire as fast as he could. Soaring Dragon Realm. Longao, are you alright? Yes, I'm fine now. Longao smiled and let out a long sigh of relief in his heart because this matter was also a fluke. The slightest bit of carelessness would have led to eternal damnation. Seeing Longao smile, Xiling smiled as well. It turned out that Longao's blood oath this time was prepared by him and Xiling in advance. The blood oath and Longao's actions seemed to be the same thing, but in fact there was no connection at all. It was precisely because of this that Longao dared to swear a blood oath so recklessly and fool the 9 of them and the clairvoyant. This matter has come to an end, but the 9 of them will definitely not let it go. Longao, you still have to be careful. How could Longao not know what Xiling meant? This time, the 9 of them originally wanted to kill him with a borrowed knife. They wanted to borrow the power of the clairvoyant to kill him, but they never expected that the final result would be a failure. How could the 9 of them choose to give up so easily? Xiling, I know what you mean. In the current situation, I have to find a way to break through the limit of the Starry Sky Immortal Realm. This way, even if I can't kill the 9 of them, at least I don't have to be afraid of them. It was easy to think about it, but it was difficult to really break through. There was nothing Xiling could do about it. Because of the limitations of his physique, Longao wanted to break through from the Starry Sky Immortal Realm to the limit of the Starry Sky Immortal Realm. The difficulty was too great. What should he do? Now, even if the Chaos Palace released a mysterious power, he couldn't smoothly break through after devouring it. He needed to devour even more power. As for how much power he needed, only ghosts knew. He was helpless. Longao found the Chaos Dapeng and roughly told him what had happened. Chaos Dapeng, it should be fine for the time being. The clairvoyant still can't grasp the power of chaos in the Chaos Stone Tablet, so he can't calculate our location for the time being. Take advantage of this time to recover from your injuries. As for the problem of recovery, you and I have to think about it. Whether the Chaos Dapeng gave up or not, Longao knew that he couldn't give up. Whether it was for his friends or for himself, he had to find a way to help the Chaos Dapeng recover. In this way, the Chaos Dapeng could not only take revenge for him, but also restrain the clairvoyant. It was killing 2 birds with 1 stone. The Chaos Dapeng understood Longao's intentions very well. Longao, I will do my best to recover from my injuries. However, this will be difficult. For so many years, Not only have I been sealed by the clairvoyant, but his chaos stone tablet has also been constantly corroding me. Ah! Longao was no fool. He immediately understood what the primal chaos rock meant. He said, "Primal chaos rock, what you mean is that if the godly mathematician finishes eroding your power, then it is possible to open the seal on the primal chaos stone tablet and obtain the primal chaos stone tablet's power." The chaos Dupeng nodded and said helplessly, "Fortunately, you helped me this time. Otherwise, according to my guess, the clairvoyant would have completely corroded my power in less than a few 100 million years. If that really happened, we would be in big trouble. If the clairvoyant borrowed my power to obtain the power of chaos in the chaos stone tablet, the chances of success would be as high as 80%. If that was really the case, then the situation was really too scary. Fortunately, he had helped the chaos Dupeng in time. A few 100 million years sounded like a long time, but to the clairvoyant, a few 100 million years was nothing. Perhaps it would pass in the blink of an eye. If that was the case, then no one in the vast universe would be a match for the clairvoyant. At that time, even if Tsong Lin recovered her consciousness, it would be unknown if she could contend against the clairvoyant. Chaos Dupeng, such a probability won't happen. I just want to ask, what would happen if the Chaos Dupeng devoured your power? This was the key point. The Chaos Dupeng smiled. You don't have to worry about that. The clairvoyant's corroding of my power had no effect on him. Chapter 2569. It was best that he didn't use it. Longao finally breathed a sigh of relief. The current divine mathematician was already very difficult to deal with. What's more, if the divine mathematician had mastered the chaos power in the chaos stone tablet, it would mean a lot. Longao, you're a little strong. The chaos rock didn't continue, but the meaning in his words was very clear. Longao also shrugged his shoulders helplessly. Regarding his own cultivation, he was a little powerless even if he wanted to. Looking at Longao's expression, the chaos rock knew what was going on. Longao, is it because of your physique? He nodded. Longao didn't hide much from the chaos rock and roughly explained his physique. He and the chaos rock were already sitting in the same boat. I see. If it was for other reasons, the chaos rock might continue to help Longao break through from the starry sky immortal realm. The only problem was his physique, which was a little difficult to deal with. I'll think of a way to deal with this. You just stay here and recuperate. No one will disturb you. This was the Soaring Dragon Empire. Longao had the final say. The place where the chaos rock lived had been listed as a forbidden area by Longao. No one was allowed to take half a step in. Once a violation was committed, no matter who it was, they would be killed without mercy. The Chaos Rock didn't go anywhere. He directly settled down in the Soaring Dragon Plain because he knew very well that the vast starry sky was full of dangers. If he left here and was targeted by the divine mathematician and others, the consequences would be unimaginable. Longao didn't leave the plane for the time being because the most important thing now was to find a way to break through from the starry sky immortal realm to the starry sky immortal realm. He went into seclusion to cultivate. Time passed by little. 30 years passed in the blink of an eye. Longao cultivated for 30 years but still didn't have the slightest breakthrough. The biggest reason was his physique. Until now, Longao didn't know how much power he had to devour to successfully break through from the starry sky immortal realm. However, as early as 20 years ago, Tsong Lin suddenly returned to the Soaring Dragon Empire and suffered serious injuries. Tsong Lin's mind was still not light. Longao was a little dumbfounded because he really couldn't figure out who could injure Tsong Lin in the vast starry sky. But you have to know. Back then, Tsong Lin had only used a single move to force back the divine mathematician. Such strength was enough to sweep through the vast starry skies. No one could rival her. Song Lin's mental state was not light, so no one knew who had injured her. After cultivating for 30 years, Longao no longer wanted to continue cultivating. He knew very well that according to the current situation, let alone 30 years, even if he continued to cultivate for 300 years, 30,000 years, or even 30 million years, he might not be able to break through to the starry sky immortal realm. It was very depressing. He was helpless to the extreme. From a trash body to a starry sky powerhouse, he had been improving rapidly. In fact, he had achieved all this in less than 100 years. However, from the starry sky realm onwards, the higher one went, the harder it was to break through. From the starry sky immortal realm to the peak starry sky immortal realm was only a step away, but it was as difficult as ascending to the heavens. He sat there helplessly, and beside him was Song Lin. The unconscious Song Lin didn't sit, she just stood there. After 20 years of recuperation, Song Lin's injuries had healed. Song Lin, you would go out every once in a while. The previous few times were fine, but this time, your injuries were very serious. Fortunately, you came back in time. It took you 20 years to fully recover. Longao was very worried. Because if Song Lin could be injured once, he believed that she could be injured twice or thrice. If Song Lin was at her peak in the entire vast starry sky, not to mention others, even the divine mathematician wouldn't be her opponent. If that was the case, he naturally didn't need to worry. But now, the situation was completely different. Song Lin could actually be injured. This time, she might be lucky enough to avoid it, but she might not be able to do so again. If she was unlucky, Song Lin might only have one path, and that was death. In the beginning, Longao simply wanted to use Song Lin. After all, if he could control Song Lin, then he and his family could not only refine the Primal Chaos Tablet, but also control the Primal Chaos power within the tablet. But as time slowly passed, Longao started to truly care about Song Lin. This kind of care wasn't like or love, but an inexplicable kind of care over time. Even he couldn't explain it clearly. This kind of care could only mean that he was powerless because every time Song Lin left, he couldn't do anything about it. Even if he locked onto Song Lin's position at all times, he couldn't do anything about it if Song Lin wanted to leave. It was a very helpless action. Song Lin was still in a dazed and delirious state. Sighing deeply, Longao looked at Song Lin, who was close at hand, and said helplessly, "Song Lin, your identity is a mystery. I believe it's not just me, but the entire vast starry sky wants to know your identity. If you can recover your consciousness, I won't have to worry about anything." Gently closing his eyes, Longao began to meditate. 30 years was nothing in the vast starry sky. The matter of the primal chaos rock and the white-clothed girl was still a big deal in the vast starry sky. However, whether it was the white-clothed girl or the primal chaos rock, it was like a stone sinking into the ocean. There wasn't the slightest bit of news about them. Not to mention ordinary people, even star rulers, half-step star rulers, and Master Godly Mathematician couldn't calculate the location of the white-clothed girl and the primal chaos rock. Master Godly Mathematician was the most depressed because the longer the matter of the primal chaos rock was delayed, the more unfavorable it would be for him. If the primal chaos rock's injuries could be healed, then it would be almost impossible for him to continue controlling the primal chaos rock and erode its power. The most important thing right now was to find the primal chaos rock as quickly as possible because Master Godly Mathematician was very confident that as long as he could continue to seal the primal chaos rock and erode it, he could erode the primal chaos rock's power and control the primal chaos power in the primal chaos steel. At that time, he would be the sole ruler of the vast starry sky and no one would be his opponent. The reason why Master Godly Mathematician was so anxious to let Longao try was because he didn't want to waste time. It would take him at least a few 100 million years to erode the power of the primal chaos steel. Who knew what would happen in a few 100 million years? There were too many variables. Even Master Godly Mathematician couldn't control the situation. Master Godly Mathematician didn't relax in the slightest after 30 years. You're tuning in to the Phoenix Knights YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories.